With Robinhood, not only can you trade individual stocks and ETFs, you can also seamlessly buy and sell crypto at low costs. Trade all in one place. Get started now on Robinhood. Trading crypto involves significant risk. Crypto trading is offered through an account with Robinhood Crypto LLC. Robinhood Crypto is licensed to engage in virtual currency business activity by the New York State Department of Financial Services. Crypto held through Robinhood Crypto is not FDIC insured or SIPC protected. Investing involves risk, including loss of principal. Securities trading is offered through an account with Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC, a registered broker-dealer.
At BP, we're putting words into action, making our strategy happen, growing our upstream rapidly and efficiently with seismic imaging tech. 6 discoveries in 2025, 2 in Egypt, 2 in Trinidad and Tobago, 1 each in the Gulf of America and Namibia, as part of plans to drill 40 wells globally by 2027, helping drive long-term shareholder value. Learn more at bp.com/strategy at work.
The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
G'day world, this is the Sniper of the Skies, Robbie Eagles, and you are listening to Keeping It Strong Style.
Yo, this is Rich Latta from One Nation Radio. This is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network. We present to you the Ace of Podcasts, Keeping It Strong Style. Let's go. It's the Ace of Podcasts, Keeping It Strong Style. Covering New Japan, they ready to hold it down. Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Josh. Come and hit a job out in Barrio the Frogs. From the Tokyo Dome over to the G1. Social Suplex is the network where we can get it done. I'ma chill and let them have it, cause this is just an intro. Keeping the strong style, 6 stars from the get-go, boy. Yeah, from Tampa Bay to the Tokyo Dome, this is Keeping It Strong Style with your hosts, Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Joshua Smith. And thank you for listening.
Welcome to Keeping It Strong Style, the Ace of Podcasts on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Jeremy Donovan here with the young boy Josh Smith. On today's show, we'll review nights 8 through 11 of G1 Climax 35 and cover all its news in the world of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Please support our show by subscribing and following the Social Suplex Podcast Network and Keeping It Strong Style on the podcast app of your choice, and leave a rating and review. You can also get all the network's podcasts over at socialsuplex.com. Check out our Chop Tea store, chop-tees.com/KI Strong Style. That's where you can get your official Keeping It Strong Style merchandise. There's free shipping on every order and 10% off your first order, chop-tees.com/KI Strong Style. If you enjoy this podcast, please consider making a one-time or monthly donation by visiting socialsuplex.com/donate and click on the donate button under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. And we are streaming live right now on patreon.com/KI Strong Style for IWGP subscribers. If you want to watch our show live or listen without ads and get bonus audio, sign up at patreon.com/KI Strong Style. Young boy, how you doing, man?
Yeah, I just got back from a trip to the family out in North Carolina. I was in Nashville. You know, strangely enough, I didn't run into Big Cope. I didn't run into FTR. You know, I was hoping to run into them, not for my sake, but just so I could be like, hey, I'm friends with Floyd, and then pop them. I wouldn't be popping to see FTR whatsoever, but you know, as them being fans of Floyd, that would have been a nice gesture.
Yeah.
But I've been going. I'll let you guys know right at the top. So I went to North Carolina. My mom's there. She's doing okay, but she's got like some medical issues. So I like to get out there, you know, at least once, maybe twice a year, visit with family. And obviously G1's been going on. So I did watch all of the G1 shows, but because I was short on time, I pulled the old 2X speed trick. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which normally I would never do that, especially since some of these nights were really, really good. Although they might not have, you know, that 2X speed, it makes you think these guys are working their asses off. So like, it might not be as good as I was thinking. I was like, damn, Oleg and Callum are really getting it right now. This is crazy.
No, that was a pretty fun opener on that night.
But that's just to say, you know, I definitely, had to put a little bit of family time aside. Shout out to James Boyd. He's probably never going to hear this, but he put me onto these little dark balls. The man who put me on to the right balls, James Boyd.
Oh my God.
But this is he when we were in Dallas or in Arlington, he basically showed me these little hard rubber balls called Tune-Up Fitness. And I get these terrible like knots in my back from like who even knows what. And he was like, yeah, you buy one of these, you lean on it, and it makes the shit go away. Bro, it works, So now that I'm here on the air with you guys, I can also rehab my back a little bit. And, that's nice.
Nice.
Last thing, I've been away on a trip. My wife, she got herself a nice little bottle of wine, but she's petite, so she's not going to drink the whole thing. So she was like, you got to drink this red wine. It's going to go bad. And I was like, nah, I'm kind of out of it. I'm not feeling it. But then at the last minute, I was like, okay, pour me a little glass. And she brought me this fine, crystal rose petal gimmick shit. I don't even know. I'm like, do I drink out of this unfolded side or do I drink, which is the appropriate side, or is it this bud side? I can't tell.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. But yeah, so that's what's going on with me. Before we jump into anything going on with you, Jeremy, that we need to know about? Pressing matters.
I was in the emergency room yesterday.
What? For you or for someone else?
For me.
Are you dying or what's up?
No, I'm good. So all last week I've been having, you ever had that feeling where like something's kind of like stuck in your throat, almost like in the back of your throat, like you swallow something too fast and it kind of gets stuck there for a while?
Yeah.
Well, I've been having that feeling like all week last week, and then I was like getting these like weird like sharp pains, like in the middle of my back, like lower neck area. And so like, and then yesterday,
the little black balls that I'm using,
maybe, I don't know. But, so yesterday, it was a long day. I had to serve at both services at church. And then after second service, I was like, yeah, the pain was getting a little bit sharper. And so I was like, yeah, I gotta go urgent care.
Oh man, you went to urgent care on the Sabbath, bro, on the Lord's Day.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh
so
my gosh,
yeah, so
that's serious.
Yeah. So after church, I went to the good old urgent care. They took some x-rays, and at first they were like, yeah, we don't see anything stuck there. We, don't know what's going on. And then they call me back like as soon as I get home, and they're like, oh, we just, the radiologist looked at the x-rays. It looks like your larynx is narrowing.
Were you having an allergic reaction?
Not that I know about. And like my breathing was fine. Like I've been doing everything fine, just with the pain. And so then I had to go. She was like, yeah, I recommend you go to ER like right now, get a CT scan and like make sure like everything's straight. So then I had to go back out, went to the ER there for a couple hours. And yeah, they gave me the old CT scan gimmick, with the contrast in the body and all that stuff. And they really didn't see anything either. So they just gave me some medicine to, to fight the inflammatory, like in the larynx and to the GI tract. And I feel a lot better today.
Man, that's scary, bro. What the heck?
Yeah, it was wild.
Bro, like, here's the thing. If I ever, like, let's say passed away or, was incapacitated, you'd be fine. This show could keep rolling. Obviously the person you replace, with me or replace me with might, maybe not be as knowledgeable as me or as funny or as good looking, but they could do the job. But I wouldn't be able to fucking replace you if something happened to you. Like, that would basically be the end of Keeping It Strong Style. Like,
I don't know, man. You're getting pretty good with that. The bonus audio, your single Tanahashi Ace of the Universe.
We did put out. Thanks for reminding me. So issue 7. Tanahashi Ace of the Universe 05 is out. If you guys haven't listened to it, be sure to check that out. diving deep into the Tanahashi Shinsuke Nakamura tag team. A lot of people don't know though. Those guys were like almost tag champs for like a year. Some crazy shit.
Yeah. So yeah, really great audio there. And last thing, while I was in the ER, I was watching Bar Rescue, and
okay,
G Willikers that we went to in Arlington was on Bar Rescue. This episode was like 2-3 years ago, and that same bartender that like served us was on the episode.
What happened?
Well, that episode came on like when I was getting ready to like check out. So I only saw like the first like bit of it, but like they had like the first
whack, bro. I would have stayed.
They had like the first stress test, and like they like made like 20 good drinks and like 20 bad drinks, and like John Taffer's like, yeah, see how much money you lost of like the 20 bad drinks you made instead of making 40 good drinks.
They make bad drinks there. And by bad drinks, we mean good drinks, because what he's talking about is them overspending on the alcohol. But that's exactly what you as the consumer want them to be doing.
Yeah, like when they were doing like the first like recon thing, like the one bartender, she had like this huge like glass, like poured soda in it and just like dumped a bunch of alcohol in there, like topped it off. He's like, yeah,
that's what you want. You don't want to go to a dive bar and have them pouring accurate shots like you're at a, like a stand-up establishment. That's horrible. Bro, I remember one time literally going to the dive bar that we like to go to around here. It's called Mixers, right? Mm. And I go to Mixers and I watched this chick, or maybe it was a dude, I don't actually remember anymore, but I watched them make a drink, and it's like, the glass is like this much. They filled it like this much with alcohol and then put a squirt of, I think I was getting like a whiskey and Coke. They put like almost all well whiskey and then a squirt, like the teensiest little squirt of Coca-Cola. Like, there you go. It's like for $4.50. I'm not going to have to buy another drink the rest of the night. This is incredible. I'll just keep getting like Cokes and distilling this shit, Yeah. So yeah, G Willikers. I didn't think that was necessary. I mean, it was a cool place to go, like, do whatever, but it wasn't necessarily a place where I'd be like, yeah, Bar Rescue, turn them around. This is.
Well, I mean, they're still going, 3 years later. So apparently, whatever they did worked, I guess.
There's a karaoke bar up in Tarpon, and on the side of it says "As Seen on Bar Rescue."
It's like the indie posters. You make an NXT appearance, an AEW appearance, as seen on AEW Dark.
That's hilarious.
Oh man. All right, well, let's jump into things. First, we got to do the Wrestler of the Month and Match of the Month for July, and we actually did talk about it before we went on the air this month around.
We did, but what happened is I knew that we needed to do it, but I was kind of wanting to get a little bit of breath of time, so I was not going to say shit to Jeremy. I noticed it wasn't on the rundown. I was going to let us push it back a week and just be like, oops. And then 5 minutes before the show started, Jeremy's like, oh, we got to do recommended match of the month and week. And I was like, damn it. And what's funny is I think that we'll talk about it some more, but we are having pretty wide varying differences in our kind of like enjoyment, which, I mean, obviously I think it's not as wild as some of the shit that you see in our Discord or online. Like, it's not that far apart, but we clearly have like differing views on which matches we like best, who we're enjoying in the tournament. And that's fine, because, wrestling is subjective. But, we got to the point where it's like, well, who do we think is Wrestler of the Month? And I think you liked a couple candidates. I liked a few candidates. We split it down the middle, and we have, and this might, I don't know if it is for sure, but it might be their first time as a singles Wrestler of the Month for Keepin It Strong Style. But without any further ado, it is Taichi, Wrestler of the Month. And part of it is because not just the output within the tournament, but if you think it's for the whole month, he also had that really fantastic outing during the play-in gauntlet with Ishii that also took place in July. So you kind of combine that. I think the argument that you had was like there might be a few guys who have peaked a little bit higher and maybe even peaked higher more consistently, depending on, I think there's people in our Discord that would vehemently deny that, but that's kind of what the cage match is telling us. But my view on it is I think Tai Chi is the most consistently great performer. Even if there are a few people that peak higher than him, I think he is the one dude during this tournament right now that every night, no matter who it's against, you can take it to the bank. He's going to have a close to or above 4-star match. And he is the one shining in almost all of these matches. And I think that's the kind of difference maker, is like the amount of effort and work he's putting out. His output during this tournament, it's just insane, to where it's like you're starting to believe like he saw, like, you remember that that meme where it's like, Jesus, I seen what you've done for others.
Yeah.
I want you to do that
for me.
Tai Chi's praying to like the Shinto gods or whoever he follows, and he's like, I seen what you've done for Goto.
Do it for me.
I want you to do that for me. So he's he's really putting his whole pussy out there. It's nice.
Yeah. So yeah, big shout out to Tai Chi. He's my A block MVP, as seen on our new weekly questions. Shout out to our social media manager again, Emily, on getting the engagement there. But yeah, Tai Chi's my A block MVP. He's been killing it every night. And yeah, as we talked about it, yeah, he has been more consistently great. Like all his matches, kind of that 4-star range, night in, night out. Also, you throw in the Tai Chi and the Newman and the Gauntlet, all that stuff, all the play-in matches that he had as well. So just a really great month for Tai Chi. And then we move on to the match of the month. And again, we had some discussion here, and I think, Josh, you have a little bit different opinion based on what we ended up going on and based off kind of what the popular consensus is, but we are going to go with the Dragon Shingo Takagi versus the Alpha Konosuke Takeshita. Big Dave went 4.75. I believe it's a 9-something on Cage Match. I'm also close to 5 stars on it, my highest match of the tournament. I don't know. To me, I felt like they blew away their Wrestle Kingdom match, and it was really hard-hitting, fast-paced. It's like what you really want from a Takeshita Shingo match. The only minor issue I had with the match was the finish with Takeshita with the whole crossface chicken wing thing. I just felt like it kind of came at a weird spot. It kind of felt like Shingo should have gotten out, and maybe they should have gone a little bit longer. And Takeshita maybe should have hit the Raging Fire. But it is what it is. He's trying to get that crossface chicken wing or sleeper chicken wing, whatever you want to call it, over. But besides that, that's a really small nitpick, but really just great match. Big bombs, big strikes, great near falls, great crowd reaction, great fire. So yeah, I think Shingo and Takeshita is a July match of the month.
And even though I personally I'm definitely not the high man on that match right now, because there are some things I didn't like about it, just like some of the criticisms you gave it. I'm also keenly aware that this happens every year, that there's always going to be like that one or two matches that are like universally loved that I just am not as high on. And I always kind of chalk some of that up to stylistic differences, but also G1 malaise. Like, we're watching so many nights of action. If you catch me on the right day like for instance, I watched ZSJ and Shota Umino the first time, and I was not really that impressed. And I saw so many people liking it that I was like, I need to rewatch it. And I rewatched it, and I was like, oh yeah, this was incredible and fantastic. And maybe early morning Josh isn't the best, But with that being said, I also, once you were asking me, like, what did I think was my favorite match of the tournament in July, or even just, the match of the month in general, I kind of struggled to find that answer. You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, it might even be Tai Chi versus, I don't think I can name the whole entire
gauntlet.
I think, the whole gauntlet, but I think I've liked Tai Chi and Ishii better than anything else in the tournament so far. That's just me. But, congratulations to Takeshita and Shingo. You guys did it. You've redeemed yourself from Wrestle Kingdom.
All right, so now we'll jump into taking a look at what we had this past week. So we're going to start off with the B block results from this past week, look at the B block standings, and then we'll move over to the A block. And actually, before we do that, we did have a question that came in from MJ. I think that now is a good time to do it. He says, what does a G1 performance like this do for Taichi?
Look at that dapper picture of Matt John, a young, fresh, clean-shaven Matt John, rocking the white button up. It's a dapper man. I think that, it is hard to say because you want to hope and believe that they see this and they see it as an opportunity for a guy to showcase his worth to the company. At the same time, there is no getting around the fact that, like, commercially, that they're not necessarily the hottest right now in terms of like selling tickets on the tour. And that might be a detriment to, it might be like one of those things where it's like, yeah, he was incredible every night, but it didn't translate to, ticket sales. But at the same time, he really has only been at the top of the card those first 2 nights. And he got great reaction. So it's hard to say, but in terms of like reliability and crowd connection and everything like that, I think they do have something here with Taichi. It just depends on whether or not management sees it that way as well. And there is only so many nostalgia underdog type runs that you can go with. I don't know if a miracle run like they did with Goto is apropos here. I think this is more of a situation where you're hoping that you just see him elevated from his current station to a more visible and reliable role, like something closer to like where Tama Tonga was, or where a certain like a David Finlay or something like that, guys that have been elevated over the years, where it's like, okay, they're in the conversation. And Taichi for many years has just not been in the conversation, and I'm hoping that this changes that.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm Taichi, I walk to the back and be like, I dare you not to put me in G1 again next year. Like, like his performances have been that good. It's kind of ridiculous that he's a guy that is on the cutting block just because of his age. And I get it. We do need to, make room for the younger wrestlers and push younger wrestlers. But if some of the younger wrestlers aren't ready, and you have a guy like Taichi who's, I think he's, kind of peaking right now of where he's at. Like, he's a guy you throw in there. And, he had that, kind of crappy junior run and then became a heavyweight and then, starting having, better matches at that great tag run, Dangerous Techers. Like, now he's like, I think, the full peak of this heavyweight power and great crowd connection, and he just lays his stuff in. I think he draws you into the match. He gets emotional, and I think that, again, why he's the wrestler of the month. Like, he's just been going out there and killing it every night.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, well, let's take a look at these B block nights. So we had night 8, which was on Wednesday, July 30th from Yamato Arena. The attendance was 1,390, and it was down from last year, same building, at 1,711. So we had Great Khan defeating the TV champion, El Phantasmo, in 14 minutes 50 seconds. We had Drilla Maloney defeating Ren Narita in 9:52. And then we had Shingo Takagi in semi-main defeating Shota Umino in 22:45. And the main event, Zack Sabre Jr. defeating Konosuke Takeshita at 22:37. And then the second B block night we had was night 10, Saturday, August 2nd, from Hiroshima Sun Plaza, an attendance of 2,002, up from last year's 1972. We had Shota Umino defeating Yoshihashi in 13:30, Shingo Takagi defeating ELP in 14:27, Konosuke Takeshita defeating Drilla Maloney in 14:01, and Zack Sabre Jr. defeating Great Khan in 20:01. And then our standings, we have Ren Narita. He is 4-2 with 8 points. Shota Umino, 4-3 with 8 points. Zack Sabre Jr., 4-2 with 8 points. Konosuke Takeshita, 4-2 with 8 points. Drilla Maloney, 4-2 with 8 points. Great Khan, 4-3 with 8 points. Yoshihashi, 4-2 with 8 points. Shingo Takagi, 3-3 with 6 points. El Phantasmo 2-4, 4 points. Gabe Kidd 0-9, 0 points. And at this point of the tournament, El Phantasmo is officially mathematically eliminated from making it to playoff contention.
Yeah, it kind of feels like the US or the TV title is like the new Juice Robinson as US champ in the G1 sort of deal.
Yeah.
That shit, that gold and that leather, that's not going to give you any protection, brother. Like you're going to do these jobs.
Yeah. And
none of them are going to be future title challengers. We'll set that shit up post G1. You're going to eat these losses.
Well, there's a job to be done, and somebody had to do it. So yeah, they went with good old ELP here, who said a lot of snarky comments on commentary as well throughout the tour. But let's start at the top here and kind of give our quick thoughts on these guys. So first up, sold out Ren Narita. Josh, what have you thought about Narita's past 2 nights and just where he's at right now in the tournament?
Yeah, so I mean, on the first on night 8. Again, he was defeated by Drilla Maloney. There is the interesting aspect of like the Bullet Club War Dogs and the House of Torture feud that kind of went into that. Both guys entering with 6 points and Drilla walking out with the 8, so that puts him above him. I don't know if that's going to be a pivotal tiebreaker level match. I thought the match was pretty good, and we'll talk more. I've been very impressed with Drilla. I can't say I'm like overly impressed with what Ren Narita's output is, but I'm also not severely disappointed at the same time. Like, are they still leaning into House Torture, tropes? Sure. But we're also kind of getting to see glimpses of what this guy can do. He's towing the line between those two worlds. And again, the only match I feel like he's really excelled was that first match against Zach, which it's like, that was night 1 or night 2. I can't remember one or the other. And it was against the world champion. That's kind of where you want a performance like that to take place. So I can't, blame him for that. But then on, night 10 here,
So night 10 was my favorite night for him. That's the 4th for Gabe Kidd. We didn't have to watch him wrestle.
Yeah. So that puts him at the 8 points. So had he hypothetically won that match with Drilla, that would have put him at the top of the block. So even if I don't know if it was pivotal from a tiebreaker standpoint, it would have bof pretty monumental to get him some momentum going here. We are very much at this point, most of these guys have 6. Some of them have 7 points or matches on the board. So for some of these guys, they only got 2 left, and other guys they still have 3 left. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it is very parity based right now. But you look at Shota Umino because he's already gotten the and you know what? That's one thing I was wondering about, Jeremy. When you're doing this, did you factor in all the Gabe Kidd losses already, or just no?
Yeah, so I've been using Sport of Pro Wrestling, and they have been giving everybody their points with Gabe Kidd out, and then some people, depending on when their Gabe Kidd match was, they either have some guys have 2 or 3 matches left. So hold on, let me go to so I'm on a scenario tracker right now, and actually let me.
So with the scenario tracker, it's actually it's adding the extra 2 points in real time as opposed to ahead of time.
Yeah, and that's what New Japan has already awarded guys the points for the Gabe Kidd loss. So right now at some guys, so like Ren Narita, he's had 4 wins, 2 losses. So he only has Great Okan and Shingo left for his tournament. And then you look at a guy like Shota Umino. So he has, Umino has Takeshita and Great Okan left. Zack Sabre has Drilla, Yoshihashi, and Shingo left.
Well, the only thing I'm confused about that, because on our rundown sheet, Red Narita has 4 and he's 4-2, so he has 6 matches. That would mean he still has 3 left to go.
Yep. So Narita has Takeshita, Okan and I missed Takeshita. Yes, Takeshita, Okan, and Shingo left.
Okay, understood. So the long and short of it, what I was bringing up there is some guys, even though there's a lot of people sitting pretty close in the same range, like 8 points, some guys have already gotten their extra points. Some people haven't. So, like Shota Umino's only got 2 matches left to go, whereas like Ren Narita's got 3, even though their point total is the same. Their opportunity is different because, Umino has one less match. That's one less opportunity to get some points on the board.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, that Gabe Kidd entry definitely makes things a lot of interesting there. Well, yeah, some of these guys still having an extra match, and yeah, guys like that are going to be at a disadvantage. And so yeah, so Ren Narita's sitting in a very good spot right now with 3 matches left. He has 3 opportunities to get points and clinch the top of the block. I don't think he's going to end up clinching a playoff spot, but we could see, and I kind of don't want him to. Again, he's been really leaning more into the House of Torture stuff the last few nights, and especially in the Drilla match and the push-up bar and rep distraction and all that stuff. So I would rather not get him going into the playoffs, especially since I think we are going to get somebody from the house over in the A block going into the playoffs.
Well, for me, I think the only 2 guys that are currently still alive on the board that I just struggle to see going into the playoffs would be Great Okan and Yoshihashi. And that's no slight on either of them. They both had some good outings during this tournament, but just considering how many both young guys and top guys are in this block, I don't see a scenario. I know that might be a little disrespectful to Great Okan because he already went to the playoffs last year. That's one of the reasons why I'm not banking on him doing it again, because they haven't seemed to push or elevate him since that time. And yeah, I guess they could potentially throw Yoshihashi in there as a, an unexpected, monkey wrench plus the connection with Goto, but I'm not anticipating them actually pulling the trigger on that. But you got Narita, Umino, Zach, Takeshita. Those are the guys that I think those 4 in particular are the most favorite for this is just my opinion, to go into the playoffs. And I think that Drilla and Shingo both have plausible chances to go in, but I would give them lower odds than those 4.
Yeah, I agree with you. So any other thoughts on Narita?
No, I mean, we didn't have to watch him wrestle on night 10, and that was pretty good night. And Drilla dropped him on his dome, so
yeah. Well, then next up, Shota Umino. So like we mentioned, he only has 2 matches left. He's also at 8 points and still has a good shot of getting into the playoffs.
Yeah, so I mean, on night 8, I believe that was the night that he had off. Is that correct?
Yep. So yeah, he was off night 8.
Okay, yeah. So
no. Actually, sorry, he had the semi-main event against Shingo.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, he had the match with Shingo. I thought it was good, and maybe even perhaps in some ways better than some of the other matches that we've seen from these guys this year. I'm still not loving this pairing for whatever reason. I don't know if it completely works for me. Mm-hmm. There is no getting around how buff Shota Umino is getting in terms of like his body mass and his physique. But without belaboring all the same tired points about his presentation, his personality, and where's the character going, I'm a little, I don't know. I don't feel like discussing all of that anymore. I do think he's having a pretty good tournament. Obviously, he eats the loss to Shingo. That's kind of a make good. Shingo was kind of on the bubble there a little bit. That was a pretty pivotal win. And then he had the match with Yoshihashi, and I thought the Shota Umino Yoshihashi match was really, really good.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun and very hard hitting. And I felt like Umino showed a lot of fire there in that match. And he was doing a lot more like power-based maneuvers, a lot of big power slams, body slams, and lariats, and really kind of matched Yoshihashi with the hard hitting that's there. And so, yeah, I thought this and the Shingo match, again, maybe wrestling Shingo, you would hope maybe would be a little bit higher overrated match, but overall I still thought it was a very good match, and maybe better than some of the matches they had earlier this year. And so so in these past 2 nights, I thought Umino looked really good. But again, it's back to what we mentioned last week. It's that inconsistency. Like, he was good these 2 nights. Is he going to be good his last 3 nights, last 2 nights in those matches? And so,
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say he's been wildly inconsistent during this tour in the way that we're used to seeing from him, but I also don't think that I've been sold on him as a performer through the course of the tournament. I think he's had some standout matches, the one with Zach in particular, and it is funny how many guys want to put on their working boots when they're in there with the world champion, of course, especially since who knows what's really going to happen. But I get that feeling that Zach is on the bubble, and maybe perhaps is a transitional guy that's not going to go to the Dome with the title this year. So it is funny how many guys are like, I can have a great match with Zach.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's still one of those things where we're going to have to see if this guy can just be consistently good, and if he can figure it out from a long-term crowd connection standpoint. I know that there are certain, followers and listeners here that they kind of stan the guy, but I don't know if he has cultivated that intense following. If anything, I think it's diminished. Like, we made fun of it, but this was a guy that was like getting papered, championship belts given to him, and the kids dressing up like him. And now who the fuck's going to dress up like him with the shaved bad hair and, the poofy blonde, whatever the fuck he's got going on right now. And
yeah, I mean,
the white gear.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that the crowds are not booing him the way they were not going into the title matches and kind of the beginning part of this year. So I do feel like the crowd reaction has turned around some, and it's not quite to where it was, which I know, we kind of made fun, but yeah, he was, getting the kids on his side, the light sticks, the armbands, all that stuff, and I don't think that's fully back yet, but the crowds are getting behind him and cheering him, so I think it's a step in the right direction. But like you mentioned, it is kind of hard to get invested with him. Just like, all right, where is his character going? Where's the look going? Because it was like, all right, he is supposed to be this kind of serious dude, and then he was teaming with ELP, and ELP is trying to get him to be more goofy, and now he's just kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like a weird in-between of what he's doing right now. So yeah, it's kind of hard to fully get invested with him.
Yeah, I've been like I said, I've been gone over the weekend, and for whatever reason, this little guy here, he freaks out when I'm gone. Like, he gets depressed and upset, and then when I come home, he just wants to be with me. So it's like, he does not want me recording. Like, but I mean, it is one of those things though where it's like, for Shota, do I think him not going to the playoffs would be there? Like, before the tournament started and we were doing the review, I felt like that could potentially be disastrous for him. I don't know if I feel that way now. Like, he might have done enough. I'm not saying like he's proven to the point where he can be a reliable, consistent top guy like people are hoping for. And if that's what you're hoping for and he doesn't make the playoffs, maybe that is a bad indication. Just considering like it's not his first G1, like he's been around for a bit now,
Mm-hmm, yeah.
But at the same time, it is one of those things where it's like, if they don't feel like he's ready again, then he might just be, he might go more into that middling sort of role, and maybe that is appropriate for him. I don't know. It is, I guess we should probably bring this up now that we're on the air. So Jeremy, I don't know if you saw, I created a controversy a little while back where I basically said, like, there's 2 types of, and I know that this is very narrow minded, so there's no room for nuance here when I say this, but I'm like, when you talk about multi-generational talents, you have the guys that you look at from the start and you can tell no matter what that this is a star in the making. And then you have other guys that you look at and you're just like, they don't have that fucking it thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And the sick Puro freaks in our Discord got pissed because I listed like Randy Orton, The Rock, Roman Reigns, Cody, and they're like, they were like irate, because to them, they're like, this guy's much better than them. And I'm like, I get what you're saying, but look at them from day one, and then look at Umino and tell me that he is cut from the same sort of mold or cloth of guys that you could just look at and be like, that guy is fucking money. This is a guy that we can put the title on and the company behind and push him to the moon. And I think if you have that delineation, I think he falls more along the lines of like a Cody Hall, a Greg Gagne, David Sammartino, guys like that.
Yeah.
And people were pissed and they wanted there to be like some nuance. They're like, he's in the mid tier. And I'm like, there's no mid tier here. We're talking about, this isn't about like ability or anything like that. This is about top guys and not top guys. And I personally, at this point, I might have not always felt this way, but at this point, I don't think Shota Umino is a top guy.
Yeah, I think there's some consistency issues there. There's definitely character issues there. I think there's a look issue. I mean, the body's getting better. Like, he's putting on a lot of mass right now, and the abs are coming out. But as far as his whole, just like even his attire, his hair, I still think there's a lot for him to be done. Honestly, I thought like his perfect look was when he came back from excursion with the long dark hair and the more Tanahashi style trunks. And I know people were complaining like, oh, he's a Tanahashi cosplay, but he looked more like a star when he was trying to be like a top star. And
agreed.
And I feel like, that was a big detriment to change up that look. I felt like that was an ace look, and he was showing a lot of fire then too. And I think some of his earlier stuff was a little bit more consistent, and he's kind of fallen off. And some nights he has charisma, sometimes he doesn't. Some nights he shows fire, sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes he has, really great matches, and sometimes he doesn't. It's just so hard to know what you're getting with him. He's not a guy, I don't think you can trust him fully in that main event spot and to be the world champion, because you just don't know what the heck you're going to get from him night in and night out.
Yeah, but for his block, it's not a situation right now where there are, just so many other wildly consistent stars that deserve, especially in a scenario where there's 3 entries.
Mm-hmm.
The fact of if he doesn't get into one of those 3 entries in this particular block, that is telling you something about their faith and trust in him at this current juncture. I'm not saying it's like an indictment to where it's like he'll never be used again, or he's buried, or he's finished, but it also isn't telling you that they have faith in the guy and they got, necessarily big plans moving forward. Because while this is a very talented block, it's not necessarily the most star-studded with top-end guys that are big pushed commodities that would warrant going in over him. In most cases, most of these guys have not even headlined the Dome, and he has. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to Zack Sabre Jr., the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion.
I think Zack potentially is in the running for being the most consistent guy in the tournament. I know that there's a lot of things that people want to say from a negative standpoint, business wise, with him on top. And we've already kind of talked extensively about that the past few weeks. I'm not trying to skirt around it. It's just, you don't want to come on every week and say the same things about the same guys. But one thing that I think is undeniable about Zack is that as time's gone on through the tournament, he has upped his output. And I mean, it was a little rough going there in the very beginning. Obviously, he took the loss to Narita, and then Gabe Kidd was out, so that match didn't happen. And from a kayfabe standpoint, it took a little while for him to get some points on the board. But now that he's like consistently out there, and he had the match with Takeshita. I'll be honest with you, Jeremy. I was not the highest on the Takeshita match. I felt like stylistically, these two guys, and this is just my personal opinion. I know a lot of people like the match. I don't think they jived together well at all. And I don't know if I think the match was structured in a way for Takeshita to get the kind of shine that he needs.
Yeah. And I agree with you. Like, I know I think Dave also went 4 3/4 on this one, and it's very high on cage match. But for me, I'm more maybe like 4 1/4 on this match. I agree. I think, there was just a lot of like chemistry issues, and especially the closing stretch just felt like very sloppy. And I know Zach tried to like recover by like making it look like he was trying to escape some stuff and go into holds, but it just, some of the timing was off. Some of what they were trying to do towards the end was off. It was just something was missing there.
I think there's when this is an interesting conversation where it's like when you talk about what makes somebody the best wrestler in the world, there's many ways to view that argument. And the reason I bring this up is because these are two guys that have both for many years, and especially lately, been given that sort of credential, by different corners of the fandom as being two of the very, very best guys, or maybe even the best guys at any given time. That being said, I remember when Swerve City podcast, they did that interview with Kenny Omega. Rich was on, and they asked Kenny about what makes somebody like the best wrestler in the world. And his answer was like very nuanced, because he's like, is it the guy that goes out and can steal the show every night? Or is it the person that can do anything you ask them to do in any given scenario? Is it the person that can, produce the best television? There's a lot of different ways to view it. And there's a lot of different ways to do pro wrestling, and not everybody is adept at all of those different, like Jericho likes to say, styles. Mm-hmm. And I think in this year alone, and this is no indictment on Takeshita, I'm not even saying this to like knock him or bury him, but I've seen him look like a fish out of water in 2 very specific situations this year. One was that match that he had with, I actually forget who it was. It might've been Mansoor or someone like that. But it was, it was Angel de Oro, and it was in CMLL.
Yeah.
And I don't think that he acclimated well to working in Mexico. In fact, I felt like he would have fared better if he had done his regular lucha rezu sort of technique, but he kind of felt like, I don't know if the moment got to him, but he was trying to work the big foreign heel sort of shit, and it didn't work so well. And he didn't look like Takeshita in this match, doing all this catch style, and this might catch people by surprise, because I am a big proponent of that sort of style wrestling. I like what Zach does, but I don't think Takeshita is adept at it. And I don't think it's helpful to have a guy who, when he's in his own element, is showcased as one of the best in the world, and then exposed that they don't know how to do all this chain grappling on that same sort of fluid level as Zach. And it was very apparent that he couldn't and wasn't able to do those things. And I don't know even if he was good at it, if you want him doing those things, because look at the size disparity, look at the style differences. It might have been a situation where Zach should be trying to tie him up, and instead of him playing the game, he's powering out of shit and he's using his dynamicism. Mm-hmm. Instead, they had him like trying to go hold for hold and roll with him. And he was out of his, not only was he out of his element kayfabe wise, he was also out of his element in a shoot style standpoint. Like, he just didn't look good. And you want, if everything is to be believed that Takeshita has very, very, very big plans here in the very near future for New Japan, you don't want him looking like a guy that shouldn't be challenging for the title when he's wrestling the world champion. And I don't know who's to blame there. I kind of feel like maybe Zach is in not having that forward thinking, or I don't know. Who knows? Maybe he didn't want to make him look good. I don't know.
Yeah, I just feel like, a lot of the cool like power stuff Takeshita was trying to do, like Zach was like trying to turn it into one of his wacky holes, and like maybe Takeshita didn't know it was coming or didn't understand like what Zach was trying to do. But yeah, some of those reversals just did not look slick. Normally Zach is like spinning around people and makes everything look fluid and smooth and slick. But yeah, a lot of the counter reversals just looked very sloppy, and not like the good sloppy where like, oh, they're struggling for a fight. It's like,
yeah,
it's a sloppy like, damn, y'all really like just are not communicating real right now.
And it is weird, because I feel like I'm glad you actually picked up on some of that, because I felt like a lot of people really loved this match, and I was watching it and I was like, I don't know, man, like this this timing's not right. The crowd reactions aren't right. Like something's fucking off. Don't get me wrong. There were some cool moments for sure. Yeah. And I'm not saying that it's by any means a total, wash of a match. It's not, it is good, but considering that this was my most anticipated B block match of the whole tournament, I was very disappointed from that aspect. Takeshita goes out the next night. Him and Drilla, I thought they had a very good, 14-minute sprint, and he was able to get Drilla out of there. And again, another situation where these guys are now tied at parity base. Everyone's at 8 points. It's kind of wide open. But I don't think there's any way that Takeshita isn't one of those three guys to go in to the playoffs. Now, where he's going to land, I'm not sure, but I think that's a lock. And since I think he's a lock, it gets a little bit narrower for the rest of these guys, because could Zach perhaps not go through? Yeah, but that's not super likely. So if you think Zach and Takeshita are both locks, there's really only room for one other guy. And that's either Narita, Umino, Maloney, or maybe Shingo,
Yeah. I do think that Zach's going to be a lock. I think it's kind of weird if you don't have your world champion get into at least some form of the playoffs. So I think he's going to get through. Zach also had the Great Okan match on night 10 in the main event, which I thought was a pretty good match. Very more.
Oh, I totally transition off of Zach onto Takeshita. So maybe that'll save us some time. My bad.
It's all right. They're kind of close and kind of similar stories there, but Zach also had Great Okan, very more grapple heavy base, which we kind of expected there. Okan kind of leading into that. And so, I thought they had a really good grappling match. And
I thought this was Okan's best match of the tournament personally, which again, on the one hand, you might chalk it up to Zach is just that good. Most nights he can carry pretty much or give anybody their best match of the tournament. And there's definitely truth to that. But it is funny that all these guys got their working boots on when they're in there with the champion, who is in a kind of vulnerable position business wise and kayfabe wise. It's like, I see what you guys are doing.
Yeah. And this match had a really good story. And I don't know if they were telling the same story on the Japanese commentary side, but Walker did a great job telling the story of all right, Okan's never beaten Zach and he really, really wants to beat Zach. And so that his calls as Okan would get near falls and near submissions added another level to the match. It was all right, it's Okan. Is he going to finally get that win over Zach that he's been chasing? And unfortunately, he could not get the win there. Zach ends up kind of tapping. It was kind of like a flash submission. Zach countered something and got him in a hole and right in the middle of the ring. And he had no choice but to tap out. So, it was a really, really good match.
If my memory serves me correctly, I think it was like a transition from a triangle to an armbar, and I think he just completely flattened him out and got him out of there. I could be wrong, but that's what my memory tells me.
Yeah, it was something like that. That's Zach. And so we kind of already talked about Takeshita. The Drilla match was awesome as well. Takeshita overall, I think has had a really great tournament, and I do think he's a lock to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, I think both of those guys, just from a match quality output, they're the top two performers in the block, which is what you would expect. It's kind of par for the course. So the difference there is, for me, this is just my opinion, I don't think Takeshita is performing, even though he's probably the MVP of the B block. I don't think he's having the same level of holy shit, this guy is so far beyond everybody else in the block and the tournament the way he did last year. Last year, it was nobody's on this guy's level. And this year it's nobody probably is on this guy's level, but they're getting kind of awfully close. And why the fuck is that? He should be out here balling, and he's not balling like he did last year. And I don't know what the deal is. So,
yeah, and I think some of his character dynamics might be off a little bit. Cause last year he was still, I guess he was a heel still last year, but his aura was on next level where it didn't matter. But this year it's all right, he's coming out of Rocky. He's more integrated with the Don Callis family, and he's trying to be a heel, but I feel New Japan.
I don't want that shit at all. I want the same way that they don't care about our shit over in the States and they completely disregard it. No one should be giving any sort of respect or deference to Don Callis family storylines. Let this man ball out and be the star that he is when he's in Japan. It should be a totally different thing.
Yeah,
because I don't give a fuck about what's going on over there.
Yeah, I feel like New Japan wants to push him as a face. But yeah, then you have, Rocky seconding him. Rocky's on commentary, kind of doing the Don Callis stick of, what Don would do on commentary. And it's like, I feel like maybe that might be throwing some things off of him. But yeah, I feel like he should be pushed more as the Abe face, or maybe even a tweener. But yeah, him trying to be like, the neck snapping thing and this cross face chicken wing sleeper thing, things that he normally doesn't do, is a little weird. And I think it's probably due to him, trying to be more heelish.
Yeah, I mean, I think Zach came into the tournament not necessarily the hottest for a variety of reasons. We've talked about his year. We've talked about, the unexpected nature of the title change. And he's kind of like, he's had a sneaky good tournament. It's like, okay, he's in the main event. He's turning out great matches. We know how good Zach is. It's deserved. Well, like with Takeshita, it's like, man, last year he just was head and shoulders above everybody. And this year he's still at the top, but it's not quite the same level. So, but I do kind of get the feeling that maybe some of these guys are saving their best stuff for those last 3 or 4 nights. Mm-hmm. And the tournament has been very good. So it's not like I'm going to rock the boat and be like, they're total failures. Just, it's not like that. But we'll see what if it comes around and it's playoff time and they're not giving us the goods, that's where they're going to get the business. So
yeah. Also, another note on Zach. He's had a lot of comments for Aaron Wolf in the post-match. And he's like, come on, fat boy. You're in the dojo eating your chanko. And he's like, it's like burying Aaron Wolf. So I wonder if that's Zach is being Zach, or are they teasing that it's going to be Zach versus Aaron Wolf at Wrestle Kingdom?
Could be. Yeah. It definitely could be. So I don't know where you even go with that. Yeah. There's probably a lot of people listening right now, like salivating at that prospect. They have a lot of different opinions. So we'll see.
I mean, I think Zach would be a good person for him to be in there with for his first match.
Maybe. I mean, yes and no. Like, Zach is so experienced and everything, and he's a smart guy, but stylistically, that's a really tall order for your first match. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I guess we'll see what happens there. But next up, let's talk about the Drilla Maloney 44 caliber. This guy, I think this has been a breakout tournament for him. He's a guy that obviously great work in the junior tag division with Clark Connors. But we really haven't seen, I don't think, fully what he could do, and we're seeing it here in this tournament. And I got to give a lot of praise to this guy. This was a guy that was floundering on WWE UK, NXT UK. Not the best performances there, and then gets cut there, leaves there. I forget the situation, but leaves.
I didn't even know he was on that show.
Yeah, he was on that show, and then so he leaves there, and reinvents himself in Rev Pro, gets the New Japan call over, and I think it's been a great glow up since those NXT UK days, and now he's here in the G1 and just absolutely killing it.
I do think that Drilla, and this is no knock on any of the other young guys in the A block, but I think he's the most improved within the tournament. Like, the guy that is making the biggest case for himself as being a standout, other than Taichi.
Yeah.
But we kind of always knew that about Taichi. So it's more of just like, we know what that's about. It's just, will the company come around on him? But we haven't really seen this level of output from Drilla night in and night out. And it's very impressive. And I think that the company, I mean, they've clearly had intentions and plans for him. They wouldn't have given him, even though it was kind of a fluke, they wouldn't have given him wins over like Naito and different people like that in the past if they, and Shingo and Ishii, if they didn't see some sort of future there. Mm-hmm. But he's really making a case for himself. Super impressive. We already talked about the matches he's had this week, so I don't need to belabor that point, but just really, really, really awesome. And I think that he's making great connections with the crowd. Mm-hmm. And he drops motherfuckers on their heads. And I'm not saying for sure he's going to I think that he has an outside chance of being a playoff finalist. It's maybe not a lock, but I wouldn't, if he was like that wild card, I wouldn't be mad at that.
Yeah, I would love to see him in that spot. I think he's earned it. And yeah, right now he's sitting at 8 points. He still has 3 matches left. He could slide in there. He's in kind of that spot with Narita where they still have matches left where he can get some extra points there. And so, yeah, he could slide into the playoffs. But yeah, has great charisma. And, he's done an excellent job of getting the Drilla Killer pile driver over, where he just gets people on their shoulders and the crowd's already kind of anticipating, him dropping people on their heads. I thought in the Takeshita match there were a lot of great counters in and out, and a lot of great Drilla Killer teases there. But yeah, Drilla's just been really impressive. Yeah, definitely will be a most improved candidate for our year-end awards. And this is what we talk about, where it's like, yeah, make the most of what you have. You get this opportunity, especially with being in the same block as Gabe Kidd, which I'm sure people would have expected Gabe Kidd, if he had not been injured, to get that maybe a bigger push and be a top guy in this block. Well, I think I'm sure Drilla still would have done well, but I think with the spotlight of Gabe Kidd being gone, I think it elevates him even more in that, especially the way he's been performing. So yeah, I think he's maximizing, being the War Dog guy in this spot, being one of the foreigners in this block, and yeah, he's really been killing it. Well, let's look at Great Okan, who's also sitting at 8 points. He's 4-3, so he only has 2 matches left. So he's kind of in that Umino spot where they really would have to win their last 2 to try and lock in a playoff spot.
For the sake of time, I don't have a lot to say about these last 3 candidates, to be honest with you. Great Okan is not in a great spot, even though he's tied with everybody else. He's one of those, 7-match guys who only has 2 more opportunities to put up at max 4 points. So that's not necessarily great for him. I don't think his tournament's been as good as last year's, but the Zach match was definitely a standout. But he hasn't really. He did beat ELP, and maybe that would entitle him to go back on that TV title chase again. But, there hasn't really been a situation where he's carved out anything to where I think like they're getting ready to push this guy and do anything meaningful with him again. And I really don't think he has a chance to be in the playoffs. So he's kind of playing spoiler a little bit, even though it's all parity based right now.
Yeah. And then another guy that's in a similar spot, Yoshihashi. So Yoshihashi's kind of taking a fall from grace. He was at the top of the block last week. He was 4-0, and he was kind of riding that wave of momentum. But kind of like we predicted, he's kind of falling down the rankings here. So he's 4-2. He does have 3 matches left, but considering his past G1 performances, this is kind of actually high for him. I feel like he normally ends up around 6 points, so he's kind of already doing better than he normally would at that 8-point level, and I just don't think he's going to get any more wins. I think he's going to end 4-5.
Maybe. I wouldn't be too surprised if he did pick up a win. I guess it depends on who those opponents are. We'll take a look here in the next little bit, but yeah, you're absolutely right. From a match quality standpoint, I think you can always take him to the bank as being one of the guys that's going to work hard and give you good matches. And he had the little Tiger Mask early run guy who goes on a little run, but eventually loses, and that's kind of what we're projecting. That's classic Gato 101.
Yeah. And then the Dragon, Shingo Takagi, he's sitting at 3-3 with 6 points. So he's got his 6 matches in. He's got 3 left, and yeah, he's on the bubble right now. And so having that 3rd match left is going to really help him potentially keep his chances alive of getting into the playoff. But he is on that elimination bubble right there, and Shingo's has been Shingo. I think he's had some really good performances throughout the tournament in these last 2 weeks. We talked about the match with Umino. We also had the match with ELP, which we really didn't touch on much, but I thought that was a very good match. They have a lot of good chemistry. They had the whole, who's your daddy feud, and I think it was like 21 or 22 that culminated in that hardcore match or whatever they had. So yeah, they had a really good chemistry. I thought that was another really good matchup. Shingo getting the win there, so maybe you slot Shingo in that TV title spot, which I think with the kind of the Dragon Gate style and the fast pace, I think Shingo as TV champion could be cool if he ever gets it. But yeah, overall he's looked good.
I haven't thought about that, but that's not a bad point. Yeah, I thought the ELP match was one of the better outings for both of these guys in the tournament. Shingo, I think he has a little bit either become somewhat apathetic or slowed in recent years, maybe a combination of the two, but he's still great. But him being 6-6 and then also picking up a win over Umino does make me feel like maybe this is classic Gato. Guy starts slow and then ekes his way into the playoffs. And so it's hard to completely discount the idea that with that tiebreaker over Umino, he might be the third guy, the third man.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But I think he's having a solid tournament. Maybe not up to the lofty standards he set in the past, but it's still very good.
Yeah. And then ELP 2-4, 4 points. So he's mathematically eliminated.
I said, I don't have much to say about these last three guys. And then I didn't even count ELP because he's eliminated,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what there's to say. It's unfortunate. He's kind of gotten the same booking as he's had many years in the past in this tournament. He just kind of facilitates this role to be a pin eater.
Yeah, and he's even kind of joked about it on commentary. He's like, yeah, I just really suck at the G1.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm good all year, and then again the G1, I just suck.
Yeah. So, I mean, what can you say there? I mean, I think it's one of those things where it's like if you hate ELP matches, you're not going to be convinced one way or the other. And if you love his matches, you'll probably like a lot of his outings. But either way, from a kayfabe perspective, it's not anything to write home about because he's done.
Yeah. And, he has 3 matches left. And so he could end up being 5-4 and 10 points, which will still
a respectable total.
Right. Which will look good. And when we come back, next year, it'll be like, oh yeah, he got 10 points and not even remember that. Yeah, he's already eliminated way before the playoffs.
They do tend to do that. And he will be playing spoilers. So maybe some of these, last few nights will be meaningful, but maybe he finishes 4-5 with 8 points.
Yeah. He's going to finish with 8 or 10 points, which is still respectable for a champion and somebody in his position. So at the end of the day, I think it's going to look good for him on paper. But yeah, he's out of there. And I've enjoyed him. I know, especially our Discord is very anti-ELP for whatever reason. But I enjoy ELP. I think he has great crowd connection. I think he goes out there and works hard every night. The Zach match, one of the best matches of the tournament. And then these past 2 weeks, he had Ocon, which was a good match. And then a Shingo match, which was very good. So yeah, I think ELP rocks. And then good old Gabe Kidd, he's out of the tournament, 0-9, 0 points.
Loser.
So then that moves us over to the A block. So we had night 9, Friday, August 1st. And this was in Sunmesi, Kagawa. We had 1,244 this year, up from last year's. Actually, I think I had these flipped. This year was 1,219, up from last year's 1,244. And then we had
down 5.
We had Callum Newman defeating Sonata, Evil defeating Rei Oiwa, Dave Finley defeating Bolton Oleg, Taichi defeating Yoda Tsuji, and Yuya Uemura defeating the ace Hiroshi Tanahashi. And then night 11, which was Sunday, August 3rd in the Fukuoka Convention Center, we had a attendance of 2,534, which was up from both of the nights last year. So last year, night 6 and night 7 of the G1 were in Fukuoka, and they did 1,780 on night 6 and 1,757 on night 7. So really good number here, up from last year, and a little
healthy bump.
Yeah, a little bit closer to what they would do in this building pre-pandemic. Some of those numbers were more 3,000-ish, 3,500. So kind of getting closer to what they would normally do in that Fukuoka building.
That's big Suge, bro. You got to give him, he's the draw, bro.
Yeah, well, he was in the main event. But the first tournament match, we had Bolton Oleg defeating Callum Newman, Roy Oiwa defeating Taichi, Sonata defeating Yuya Uemura, David Finley defeating Evil, And then the main event, Hiroshi Tanahashi getting his 100th G1 win, defeating the Gene Blast, Yota Tsuji. And then we'll go to our A block.
I'm gonna need to step out, feed the dog. But I do want to say, you know, like when the tournament first started, I think on paper we looked at everything that was going on with B block and A block, and I think like we, along with many other, you know, knowledgeable, you know, individuals that cover New Japan, were like the B block is going to mop A block. Like there's just, you know, there's a lot going against that block. And then the sickos, like in our Discord, were like, A block is going to murder B block. And I was like, they're fucking crazy. That's not going to happen. You know what I mean? And then like we got to like the first, like, how many weeks have we been covering G1 now? This is the third week,
I think. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the first week they're like, told you A block is killing. And I'm like, well, we'll see. And then like the second week, it was like kind of closer, but you know, it was like, so I was like, I don't know. B block's doing pretty good. We'll see. But now that we're like 3 weeks in, and after these shows pass, I'm like, of course, a lot of this does have to do with Gabe Kidd being out and that whole thing. So that's not helping the B block. But I'm like, bro, A block is mopping B block. Like A block is way better night over night than the B block. And it's kind of surprising, especially with how many of those main events are Tanahashi's. Like, yeah. It's sort of insane.
Well, I think the thing that elevates the A block is the Tanahashi performances and Taichi. I do think, however, though, like watching the shows, I feel like the B block shows have the better flow and better structure, and there's less, you know, House of Torture, less gaga in the B block, which I feel like some of these A block cards get really dragged down with some of the Evil and Sonata matches, but then once you get to the semi-main and main, it's like, oh, wow, this is really good.
I don't know, man. You might be right, but I'm kind of thinking this shit that Sonata's doing might actually work in the long run, like depending on where they go with it. Like, I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
Listen, I'm not saying like I ever think he should be a top guy again. And I'm not saying that he ever needs to be a main eventer. But for so many years, we've complained about what was it with this guy? It was like pretty much two things. It's like, one, as talented as he is, he doesn't belong in the upper echelon with, you know, the best of the generation that were around him at that time. Like, I just didn't think he was on that level. And then number two, it's the character, it's the presentation and the connection. And it's the stuff that has always been missing. Even when we thought he was turning the corner, it's always been missing. But now this guy literally, I didn't think he was going to come out with a new entrance gimmick and attire and gear every night. And he has been. And it's working. The crowd is like really, like the way that people pretend he was getting these massive reactions as world champion, which he really wasn't. He is getting, I know they're small crowds, but he's getting serious reactions in these matches. And I'm like, for the first time in so long, I'm like, well, where is this House of Torture story going to go? Like, what is the payoff to what's happening with him here? And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying like he's going to be a made guy, but I won't hate my life watching Sonata matches if I know he's going to come out with a gimmick that is entertaining, that, you know, draws the crowd, and he has somewhere to go with what he's doing. And I think right now he has room to grow into this role, and he might have like finally like found his footing for the first time as a character, like just suddenly out of nowhere. Maybe it's because he just doesn't give a shit anymore. I don't know what the deal is, but
yeah.
Let me step away. You carry the brunt of this card, and then I'll come back in for the hot tag.
Yeah. My fear with Sonata is I just feel like this could just be like a tournament thing, and it just goes nowhere. And yeah, he has been getting the big reactions from the crowd based off of what he's wearing, and I get that, but you know, he's still kind of leaning into the House of Torture stuff. There's just a lot of shenanigans still in his matches, even though we are seeing signs of the quote unquote old Sonata with some of the maneuvers he's doing, but his matches really do get dragged down with the House of Torture shenanigans. And I just don't know where the story is going, or if it's really going to go anywhere. I feel like it could just be something, I don't know if it was actually something that was booked or something he decided to do, but it seems like this could be just a contained tournament thing. and then this tournament could end, and then nothing happens of this story. He just becomes a better dressed man. So, we'll see what happens with the whole Sonata thing, and we'll see if there is any follow-up. Hopefully there is follow-up, because it does seem like, based off of the crowd reaction and based off of what our listeners think, and some people in our Discord think, it seems like a lot of people are enjoying this Sonata run or find him interesting. And so hopefully they can capitalize on that and do something interesting with him. And potentially, I know some people are speculating like maybe the flashiness leads to maybe an eventual turn and he goes to Hantai by the end of the year. And who knows with him, because, he's just been jumping from faction to faction. But I do feel like, he is showing a little bit more charisma and personality than he did with the world title run, which I felt in the world title run they were trying to pigeonhole him into almost that kind of, traditional New Japan top guy look and feel, and maybe that just wasn't him, and maybe that's why eventually that didn't end up working. But it does kind of feel like maybe for the first time ever, maybe even the Cold Skull stuff, maybe that wasn't him either. And it does kind of feel like for the first time that he's kind of actually maybe enjoying what he's doing and enjoying this new character. So hopefully that can lead to some more interesting stuff for him. And, it would be better if we didn't have to see how the torture shenanigans and low blows and ref bumps throughout the match. And that would make my Sonata viewing experience so much better, but I don't think we're gonna get that anytime soon. And this might lead to him, unless this does lead to him leaving that group, but we'll see from there. But let's take a look at the A block standings here. So first we got Yota Tsuji 4-3 with 8 points. We got Yuya Uemura also 4-3 with 8 points. Bolton, Oleg, and Evil also 4-3 with 8 points. The Grip, Rei Oiwa also 4-3 with 8 points. And then everybody else in the block is 3-4 at 6 points, which is Taichi, Callum Newman, the Ace, Hiroshi Tanahashi, David Finley, and like we just were talking about, Sonata. So I'll start at the top of the block here with the Gene Blast Yota Tsuji. So Tsuji is a guy that, you look at the sportofprowrestling.com G1 pick'ems. Tsuji's a guy that a lot of people are expecting to get into the playoffs and get into the finals and win the whole thing. And, he's a guy that started really strong. He had a lot of wins, and then he's lost a lot of matches in this, middle part of the tournament, and just lost here to Tanahashi on yesterday's show in the main event, which has him slotted at that 8-point level. And I do still think that he's a guy that is going to make it into the playoffs just based on him being in the finals last year. And I know I've really enjoyed his work throughout the tournament, and I thought he looked really good in the Tanahashi main event, and there's a lot of history there, and he was Tanahashi's personal young lion, and it just felt like he tried really hard to have a good match there with Tanahashi. And then night 9, that semi-main with Taichi, very hard-hitting, very entertaining matchup there as well. So I felt like 2 good nights here for Tsuji, and still very much in contention to get to the playoffs.
I'm not going to repeat all the same shit you said while I was gone, so I trust your opinion. I've been a little down on Tsuji this tournament, not because I don't think he's very great, but because I think that he should be the top guy that they're pushing from this young generation. And even though he's had good performances, I haven't been blown away. I thought the Uemura match was a standout of the tournament, but over this past week, these 2 matches in particular, the Tanahashi and Taichi match, are 2 of his better matches in the tournament. So much so, this might sound crazy to some people, but I thought that the Taichi Tsuji match was the match of the tournament so far, for my taste. That's how good I thought it was. Again, keep in mind, I was maybe I'm not the right person to say, because I watched this shit on 2X, but I was like, damn, they're really going for it. Like, this is incredible. So I thought that was, even though this tournament's been very good, and I think A Block has, night after night, I find myself enjoying the shows and thinking the quality overall is, very, very consistent. I don't think that we're having those standout blowaway G1 style matches that we're used to from like pre-pandemic era. Mm-hmm. Those, to me, I think those are few and far between, but the overall tournament is just still really, really, really good. I even would even go as far as to say, I think the A Block this year, this is just my opinion, I think it might be the best block we've had in many years in the G1. But I thought that Taichi and Tsuji match was really stellar and stand out. And then, the match with Tanahashi, I was kind of surprised. I thought it was very good. Within the confines of like Tanahashi's like limited, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors here, but it's like, it's not Cody Rhodes style smoke and mirrors where it's like the sleight of hand, the classic worker. We're going to brother our way through this shit, accentuate the positives, hide the negatives. And some of those negatives you can't totally hide because Tanahashi still has to run. He still has to come off the top rope, but it's working for me. But when he just like, when he got on that finishing run and, high fly, I don't care that it's called the ace or the high fly attack. It's aces high. I don't give a fuck. We're American. This is America. But yeah, he hit the aces high and then the double high fly flow and got the 1-2-3. I was like, fuck, he did it. That's so definitive and kind of crazy. Kind of makes me think maybe Tsuji isn't winning this shit and maybe Tsuji will be his final opponent in the Dome.
That's a possibility because most of the young guys that Tanahashi has beaten early in the year have been beating him in this tournament. And if the loss here from Tsuji, you would think, okay, maybe there will be a final match for him to kind of get revenge and put Tanahashi away. And so, maybe the Tokyo Dome.
Pass the torch.
Yeah, maybe the Tokyo Dome is that spot.
So, but yeah, I do think that still at this point, Tsuji is one of the top guys in the block. And, he'll be in that playoff situation. I'm pretty sure of that.
Yeah. So another guy that's very much alive and well that could get in the playoffs is the Heat Storm, Yuya Uemura. And, I feel like Yuya has been really good in this tournament and has really been standing out. He's been showing a lot of babyface fire, and he's been put in spots where he has to face these House of Torture guys. He had to face Sonata here on yesterday's show and wasn't able to overcome him due to the shenanigans and Sonata hitting him with a guitar. But the crowd was really behind him and wanting to see him, beat House of Torture when he was getting a little bit of a comeback there. And then he had the Tanahashi win in the main event there on night 9. I thought he looked really good in that match, and they did the whole frog splash tease where he might have gotten hurt on the frog splash again, and but yeah, he ends up.
I hate his frog splash.
You don't like it's the lowdown?
I like the lowdown. I don't think he does his version of the lowdown the best. I think that he should find a high flying move that works a little bit better for him personally. That's my opinion.
Yeah, but I thought he's been looking really good.
I thought Uemura's looked really good. I really enjoyed the match with Sonata the day before. I thought that it was like a really incredible shit-faced mid-card heel overcoming the white hot plucky baby face. It kind of reminded me of like a mid 90s or like early 90s like Mr. Perfect versus Tito Santana style match where it's like these guys are so technically sound, but like this guy's going to find a way to cheat at the very end, and you're kind of frustrated by it. But the match that preceded it was so good that you kind of look past it because you're like, he outsmarted him, he outplayed him, and now the baby face needs to kind of like get his comeuppance. And there is still some juice to that whole story, just considering the 5 guys ties and everything like that. So we'll see where that goes. But that was that kind of kept Sonata alive. He was pretty much probably going to be done if he lost that match. So and then, he had the big main event with Tanahashi. And again, I thought Tanahashi knocked it out of the park. We're not, hold on just one second.
Yeah.
Yeah. This guy's not going to let me record if he's not up here today. We're not really on the Tanahashi portion just yet, but it's just so crazy how he's able to have these. I don't want to call them top notch performances necessarily, because it's like you do have to lower your expectations just a smidge, but they're so much better than they have any right to be. And if we're being truthful, this G1 run is better than most of the consistent singles matches that Tanahashi's had for like the last 3 years. Mm-hmm. And the fact that he's able to keep up this output at this high level to do these favor for these young guys. And, you know, I know that there's a lot of criticism about the business aspects of what's going on with the tournament, and that's all well and good. But the fact that this dude is out there having these level of matches with these guys is just insane. And I thought the Yumura match was awesome. I think honestly right now, I feel like August is on pace already to be the better half of the tournament than the early portion of July was. And yeah, I thought Tanahashi really worked really well with Yumura and Tsuji here. And, you know, this is a little bit more of an open block than the B block, because you don't have a world champion over here. You have a lot more generationally adjacent guys who are similar in the pecking order. And it's sort of anyone's ball game to get into those top 3 spots. Really, realistically, I only see 2 names that jump out at me immediately that I just cannot see them going through into the playoffs. And that would be like Sonata and Callum Newman. Mm-hmm. I think Tanahashi is a long shot, and you could probably count him out too. And I think you could probably count out Oiwa and Evil. But everybody,
I don't think you can count Evil out.
Well, the only reason I'm saying that is because he has Tanahashi on that last night. And I think that that's very, I could be wrong here. I've been wrong a lot this tournament since we've been reviewing. It could be a situation where like Tanahashi beats him and then he doesn't end up as 1A. He ends up like 2 or 3. But, let's take that aside. The guys that I think are the unlikely ones to go through, that'd be Newman, Tanahashi, and Sonata. That still leaves you with 7 names in the block that are all viable potential guys to go through.
Yeah.
So it's pretty open right now. Uemura and Tsuji are, right there, but they've got, quite a few guys that are not far off right now.
Yeah, another guy, the never open weight champion, Boltin Oleg, right there with them, 4-3 at 8 points. And Boltin continues to be very fun to watch, very impressive. Really fun match with Dave Finley, and kind of that same formula Finley had with Brody King, where Finley's having to try and outpower this bigger guy, and he was throwing him around a little bit, but eventually Finley had to catch him with a roll-up to get the win over Boltin. And then after that, Boltin had Callum Newman, which was the opener tournament match of that night, and thought it was a really, really good opening for the tournament action that night. Callum Newman trying to use the speed to outspeed Boltin using the power, and yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, I've been impressed with Boltin Oleg this tournament this past week. I did enjoy both of those matches for very different reasons. I thought you did a good brief synopsis of kind of what happened there. Of the 2, I think I like the Dave Finley match a little more.
Yeah.
But they were different because the other one was a little shorter. It was more the opener. It was, fast and furious sprint. But the Dave Finley match, they were blistering one another. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely a more gritty matchup there. And again, yeah, Finley kind of having to show that he can match power with Boltin.
Yeah, I would like it to be a situation where Oleg Boltin goes through into the playoffs, and that would really tell you something about where they see him, especially with Aaron Wolf coming in and all this, these potential dates in the future that people see off in the horizon where, this is a money matchup maybe down the road. Getting him in the playoffs would really kind of scream elevation, the sort of thing that they did for Hikuleo couple years ago, and it should have been one of those other young guys.
Yeah.
But I think with the never title around his waist, it's hard to 100% say they're going to do that. You have to figure Tsuji is for sure going through. And then you kind of have to think that either David Finlay or Taichi or Evil, one of those are like the veterans that are poised to go through. So I know that it's a young man's block and we want to see a lot of the young guys go through, and maybe they'll do something bold and they'll just put 3 young generation guys through. But I don't think that's hyper likely. I think it's very likely that at least one of those established talents go through. And then the question is, like, which of these other Reiwa guys is it going to be? And with Oleg Bolton being the never champion, I don't know if it's quite as likely, but you also have to figure he's in some ways in kayfabe higher in the standing, or like in higher up in the hierarchy of the company right now than like Uemura or Oiwa or Cal Newman are.
Yeah.
It's just like he's had big wins over big stars. He's got a title. He's a little bit more established from that standpoint.
Yeah. So yeah, I think the never title could potentially hold him back, but who knows with the whole playoff scenario that maybe they do want to just throw him in there in the opening round, and then maybe he just loses in the opening round, doesn't go to the finals. But yeah, that could be a great way to elevate him. So another guy that's 4-3, 8 points, Evil. I don't want to think that Evil is going through. I don't want him to go through, but I don't know. I think, we've all been thinking that with Tanahashi on the last night that Tanahashi is going to beat him, but Tanahashi has been returning favors, and he's beaten Evil twice in their last 2 goings. So I think Evil's going to get his last win.
That's a good point.
I think Evil's going to get his last win over Tanahashi. I think he's going to break Tanahashi's heart and stop him from going to the playoffs. I think Evil's going through.
I think the other thing too is like Tanahashi right now is sitting at, well, see, I don't know if I fully agree with that scenario that you just painted, because when you say break his heart, that implies that he's gonna, if he wins the match, maybe get through. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I'm not a math, but I'm terrible with math. He has some pretty big tiebreakers, so you're correct in that standpoint. But like 100 is such a round number to land on, and for him to still be viable, he needs to at least win one more match between now and the time that he faces Evil, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I guess like for me, I feel like he's at 100. Why fuck it up and give him an odd number like 101?
Yeah.
Like let it just play out, and then maybe the heartbreak is he loses his final ever G1 match.
Yeah.
But he's not really in contention to get into the block any longer by that point in time. Who knows? I'm also not keen on that potentially being the matchup, because then it feels like Tanahashi has to get his comeuppance against Evil again, and these guys been feuding for like 2 years. So
nah, that's it. Evil wins the feud.
maybe. But yeah, I mean, I thought that the Evil and David Finlay match wasn't necessarily blow away, but it's what it needed to be. Yes. David Finlay being like the one guy in this tournament who knows all the tricks, was able to overcome all the odds, play dirty himself, and then get this guy out of there. And at the end, it looked a little bit like he was playing with his food too much. It was going to open the door for Evil to win again. And he beat him pretty definitively. So that was good. But yeah, Evil is racking up wins, and he's got that new finisher, and he's got all the heavies with him. So you're probably right, but I am holding out hope that Tanahashi comes through on the final night and beats him and just prevents him from being the guy that goes through. And then that's the end of it all.
Yeah. The reason why, I don't know. And we can also, I'm thinking about, pulling up the scenario breaker on the screen and going through it, but I was messing around with scenario breaker after work today, and like I was going through some different scenarios, and like every way I had it, like the way I was booking it, the only way that Tsuji was getting in was like Evil beating Tanahashi. And maybe there's some other booking I could do, but how I was landing, like every time I had to get to the point of like, all right, I need Tsuji to get in as one of the top 3 guys. It had to be like through Evil beating Tanahashi, because Tanahashi beat Tsuji. So if Tanahashi keeps winning, like he's going to have a tiebreaker over Tsuji.
I'm not convinced he is going to keep winning, personally. but you might be right there. Cook those books, Jeremy. Figure it out. Yeah.
But yeah, Evil, the Finley match, like you mentioned, I think it was good for what it was. And then the Oiwa match, ton of shenanigans there that Oiwa couldn't overcome. And speaking of Oiwa, he's also 4-3, 8 points. And I've been pretty impressed with Oiwa. I know I was kind of a little bit, slow on the roll there. And I know a lot of people were day one all in, putting all their stocks in an Oiwa. But and I'm starting to come, not that I was, down on him. I was just not super high the way other people were. But he's really coming along really well. He's having a lot of fire. And like you mentioned earlier, that Tai Chi match was really, really good. Very hard hitting. And so I think Oiwa is showing a lot of versatility here. He's showing he can strike with guys like Tai Chi. He's showing he can do a lot of submission-based stuff. Him and Uemura had a good match, and he's been working arms throughout the match. So I feel like he's been showing just a lot of different versatility and different stuff that he can do, and fun match with Tanahashi. So there's a lot of great stuff that Oiwa's doing right now.
Yeah, I've been we sang his praises last week, and I've continued to be impressed with Oiwa. I thought the Tai Chi match was maybe perhaps his best match of the tournament. That one just fucking rocked. This is another reason why. And you know what? I do kind of feel like a little bit guilty because I started to bleed some of these August Tai Chi matches into the July match of the month argument, but that's all right. Oh my God, dude. Why are you, bro? My dog is like, he goes under the covers. He starts digging into the mattress. Like, bro, there's nothing to dig into. It's not going anywhere. Like, what are you doing? Just lay down. It's crazy. But yeah, I thought that the Oiwa Tai Chi match was we're gonna get to him. Tai Chi's just fucking killing it. And Oiwa and Maloney were the two guys that were new to the tournament. You always want to see these new hungry guys make a statement for themselves. Of the two, I think in the immediate vacuum, Maloney is the guy that has differentiated himself a little bit more. Mm-hmm. But Oiwa has shown a consistency in this tournament that I think that some of the other young guys didn't have in their first G1, and it took them a while to kind of find their swing of things. And he's already sort of acclimated very well. I think it's highly unlikely that he's going into the playoffs at this current juncture, but he looks so good. If I had to choose between the two body fetishist guys, him and Umino, I'm big boy Oiwa.
Yeah.
And I like that they have kind of abandoned what the grip was and just kind of turn it into a burning lariat, which is starting to turn into a holy shit that can come out of nowhere sort of finish. Mm-hmm. And I loved that in the Tai Chi match. It was like these guys were hitting each other with all these big bombs, burning, boom, 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 boom. And then he just rebounds off the ropes, does the discus, catches him, and it was like RKO out of nowhere sort of thing. You're like, oh shit, he won. So,
which I think is what the beautiful thing about the discus lariat was. I think back to guys like Brody Lee who would do that, and Brody would bounce off the ropes or kind of out of nowhere spin around and catch you with that. Which I think that's the beautiful thing about the discus lariat, that he was kind of losing by having to do sleeper first and then spin them. So I'm glad that he's made that tweak. Another thing that he's been doing in this tournament that I absolutely love, he's been doing the Chaos Theory German, made famous by Doug Williams, the whole the roll through into the German. I've always loved that move. That used to be Doug Williams' finish in TNA, and I kind of wish that was Oiwa's finish because he's been doing it perfectly, and it's such a devastating looking German to do that full roll through and then heave the guy up and then drop them with the German. I think that should be a secondary finisher for him. But been loving that. But yeah, he's been showing a ton of fire, and yeah, I've really been enjoying his work.
Yeah, man. I mean, what else can you say? Oiwa fucking rocks. Very, very impressed.
Yeah. So then next up, Tai Chi, our wrestler of the month, and great match with Oiwa there. And yeah, Tai Chi just killing it.
I am at the point personally, I know you're not quite there, but I think Tai Chi is the MVP of the tournament right now. That might change, and I'm not convinced he's going into the playoffs as much as I want him to. But you know, he's carrying that Ishii torch right now. The guy that like you kind of don't think is going to get through, but he's having the best matches. And it's like, fuck, everyone wants to work with Taichi, you know? These last two matches in particular, I know we already talked about them, but like, fuck, the match with, the match with Tsuji, the match with Oiwa, like they were just so fucking good. I'm blown away. Like, this is the highest I've ever been on Taichi. I remember back in 2019 when Jon Moxley jumped into the G1 and he had his first match against Taichi. And a couple of our buddies at the time were like, who follow New Japan, but had been a little bit out on the product even back then, pre-pandemic. And they were like, there's no way Taichi can, you know, that like he's a no hoper. And I'm like, you don't understand. Like Taichi has gotten good. And they're like, no, he fucking hasn't. And like, even back then we were already like on the, yeah, Taichi's like, he can go. Like when he wants to go, he can go. So it's, you know, we're 6 years in now and it's like, fuck, he's the MVP of the tournament. This is some wild shit. So I'm pretty happy about it. And I hope that it leads to something, because you don't want it to just be an Ishii, he's a folk hero sort of thing. He's going to go spend his summers in you know, Dayton and, you know, all that shit. You know, if that's what the future holds for him, like I want it to lead to something substantial in this company.
Yeah. So yeah, hopefully this will, like you mentioned, lead to something. And I mean, you look at the performances, like, I mean, this guy, he comes out, carries himself like a star, lays all his stuff in. He has emotional, compelling matches. He gets the crowd fired up, gets the crowd there with him. And yeah, I just really think Taichi's on a whole nother level right now, because I feel like he's peaking right now. And so I don't think he's going to get the playoffs, but it's been a heck of a tournament for him. Then next up, Callum Newman, Prince of Pace.
I don't know if I'm necessarily at the point where I'm like, you know, Callum Newman is a failure in this tournament. I think that in the beginning of the tournament, he was struggling a little bit to find his footing. Some of the kind of glaring holes that I think we saw early on, there's still a little bit there. One thing that I didn't necessarily understand is like he's got his back taped up. That's probably, who knows, probably a kayfabe injury. You know how tough these tournaments can be. But then he's still working the match the way he always does, which means he's taking a lot of high aerial flat back bumps, and he's doing a good job selling it afterwards. But I'm like, you fucking dummy. Why are you not changing up your offense to accommodate for the injury that you have? Which not even just from a, you know, from a shoot style or from like an actual real world standpoint, like protect yourself, but it's also like you've got a bandage on the back. So that should necessitate a change in direction in storytelling for how you're aiming to accomplish your goals, and then also create a target. It should be more the opponent exposing the back than it is him landing on his back and hurting himself. Like they don't even have to target it. He's doing the work for them.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I feel like he's gained a little bit more confidence throughout the tour, and he doesn't feel so much like unsure of himself. He's more comfortable this last week than he had been, like, say, the first 2 weeks. And I don't know if that has to do with like working with Oleg, who he does have, you know, history with, and probably some camaraderie there. That might have something to do with it. He also had who did he work the first night?
Sonata.
And Sonata's say what you will about Sonata, but he's a guy that you can. It's a walk in the park anytime you want to work with him. You know what I mean? The way people talk about working with Randy Orton is probably what it's like with Sonata. He's just like, you're not going to have like match of the year candidate, but he's so silky smooth. He's going to protect you. It's going to be easy. And that's, sort of what we saw here. So, I do think that he's still a guy that has a lot of aptitude, and I'm hoping to see the best out of him. And I think he is still growing, but, for me right now, I think he is the lowest guy in terms of like just being a well-rounded, fully formed star at this point in time within this block and maybe tournament.
Yeah, I think Newman has a lot to grow into, and I agree that, I think this last stretch of the tournament, there has been more confidence. He's gotten better. I really enjoyed the Bolton match, and thought that was one of his best performances so far in the tournament. But yeah, I do think there's things that he still needs to develop and fit into, and I think he's still trying to hone exactly what his character is, because it's kind of been just I'm fast. It's kind of been the character, and then I'm Will Ospreay's student, and then what's happening if you had an Empire. I think it's just a lot of character stuff he needs to figure out, and we're also kind of that we talked about like carrying yourself as a star. Like I don't know if he always does that. So I think there's some present stuff that he could pick up and work on there. His work is good, but like you said, I do think certain matches maybe need different stories and different layouts, and I feel like every match he kind of does the same kind of setup for stuff. And so again, maybe that just comes with experience, and he's still very young, and I think there's still a ton for him to learn and pick up, and I think he has the skills to do it. And so I mean, he's been a fun to watch in the tournament, and yeah, hopefully he just continues to progress and get better.
I'm at that point in the evening where it's like, I was telling you this a little bit off air. Like, I'm not sick. I always get sick when I travel, but like, I'm not sick, but I have really bad allergies. And there was something in the house I was staying in at the end of my trip that like flared up. And I've been taking antihistamines today all day. It's been pretty okay, but like, I'm starting to feel like the drains start to come. No, not the drowsy. I already took a nap. I literally woke up to do the show, and I'm going to go back to sleep. But I'm at that point where it's like, all right, I got these 2 Benadryl. I know they're going to fucking knock me out. It's 9:30. We're hour 44. Do I take them now and hope that they like, do I chance it? Do I start like clonking out in the middle of the show, or am I going to time it just right? And as soon as we end, like be ready to hit the hay and like do that sort of thing. So I think I'm going to fucking take them. So we'll see.
Okay. Well, next up, Tanahashi. And so we've already kind of talked a lot about him, and his whole big story was getting that 100th win, which I think a lot of people thought was gonna not happen until the last night, beating Evil. Kind of good, heartfelt story there, get the 100th win, but he beat Tsuji here, which is kind of surprising.
I was so shocked by that.
Yeah, gets the 100th win. It's like, okay, now what? What's the story now? It's like he got the 100th win. He's 3-4. He has 3 matches left. So he could get 5-4 and be 10, which is good enough to get you to the playoffs.
I mean, 105 is a nice round number.
Yeah.
Win these last 3.
Actually, I'm sorry. He has 2 more. Sorry.
Okay.
Because he's at 3.
Yeah, that's right. 105. So you win these last 2, go to the playoffs, win all 3 of those shits, win the G1, go to the Dome, fight for the title. I think that's the story.
Yeah, and that's why I'm thinking, like, I don't think he's going to go that far, but also the story's shifting now. He's already got 100, so it's like, I kind of feel like he has to come close to go into the playoffs and then get cut off.
You could be right. I feel, well, I mean, he's still got the Sonata match and there is still that narrative. It's like, he's got Sonata and Evil the last 2 nights, whole house torture thing. I don't know. Sonata and Evil, they're in the same faction. They feel like they don't even, like they're on different planets still at this, even though they're closer than they've ever been since the LIJ days, but we'll see. But yeah, I mean, you're right. I think this has thrown a monkey wrench in a lot of people's, whatever their predictions for the tournament. So it's hard to say. One thing I did want to, we had the question of the week this week. Emily reached out to us. She was like, who are the MVPs thus far in the tournament? And I knew that I could answer first and take your answers. And I knew you were going to have the right answers. I knew that you were going to have Taichi in the A block and Takeshita in the B block. But I also knew like that, Sundays when you go to church and shit, you're going to get there late. And I was like to the chat. So I was just like, I'll let Jeremy do his thing. And then I'll take the number 2. But controversially, I picked Tanahashi as the number 2 MVP of the A block. And while there probably are some arguments for other individuals, like maybe making more of a statement or even potentially having more consistently good matches, what Tanahashi has accomplished in carrying these main events on basically completely fucking shot knees that nobody thought he was even going to finish at the tournament. I'm just so blown away. Like, it's so much better than it had any right to be. I'm in shock. Like, I'm literally shocked at I guess I shouldn't be, because he's made a career out of this. And it's like, what kind of fucking toll is he going to pay for what he's doing, these last 2 months? But shit, bro, that's why I named him my A block MVP for that poll. Cause I'm just like, I know it's a little old hat. It's like, oh yeah, no, it's Tanahashi, but it's like, are you seeing what he's doing? Like, this is crazy.
Right. I will say, like, one thing the A block does have over the B block, I feel like there's a lot of compelling stories. So like the whole
emotion of it all.
Yeah, there's a lot of emotion with Taichi, and then with Tanahashi, there's a lot of emotion there. And yeah, maybe the attendance isn't the turnout they wanted, but I do feel like these Tanahashi main events, there's a lot of emotion there. There's a lot of crowd connection, and he's working his ass off to get these young guys over. And I know a lot of people are debating, like, is beating Tanahashi in 2025 really mean anything? Is it worth the rub? Do people care about seeing this broken down Tanahashi? And I do think people do care. And I do think, he's working super hard to make all these young guys look good with what he can do. And obviously it's not 2018 where, he's having all these great matches and going to the finals. But I do think that he is just such a savvy and smart wrestler that even though he can't physically do the things that he wants to do, he's smart enough to just have the right facial reactions, the right taunts, the right holds. There's just so much that he does that
the timing.
Yeah, the timing. He's great. He's the ace. He's so
fucking ace.
Things that he does that are just so great. And
he's so fucking crazy, bro.
It overcomes the fact that, yeah, he can barely run. He can barely hop over the top rope. He can barely high fly flow. But he's
got the worst sling blade of all time right now. And he invented the move.
Yeah, some stuff is just not crisp, but there are all these little things that he does in between, and the right sell, the right transition, a roll up. There's so much stuff he does in between all the big stuff that has been making his matches really good and very compelling and very emotional. And you're like, damn, yeah, I want to see him get through. And then obviously he's been losing a lot, but now it seems like, maybe he's on the come up here. He just beats Yota Tsuji, which is, one of everybody's favorites to advance from the A block. And that's a whole new story now where, I think from day one, people thought, oh, he's going to lose everything and then only win one. And then once people realized, oh, he's trying to get to 100, he's going to get to 100 and then be done. Well, now he's gotten to 100. And so I feel like, yeah, what's next? Like, I think a playoff tease or potentially him getting into playoffs is next.
I would genuinely be shocked if he gets in the playoffs, but it could happen. That's so crazy. Yeah. I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe the 100 was a cool, like, achievement, and this, thing this milestone that no one else is ever going to achieve. But then he's just like, fuck it, I'm just going to win 2 more and end at 102. Cause why not? Just cause it's not just about that achievement. It's also about how can we shape the best narrative for the rest of this tournament. So who knows?
Yep. And then next up, David Finlay, another interesting narrative in this block. He's a top guy, comes in and has kind of been on a tough run, losing a lot of matches in a row, but he's been on the comeback trail here. Has won his last 3 matches, and yeah, big win over Evil. And that was a very fiery babyface performance from Finlay. Drilla already had a match earlier. Gabe's injured. There's Clark's probably not in the country. There wasn't a lot of War Dogs to help Finlay out, and he's there. He had the chain, and he had to fight off Evil, Togo, and Fale. So he's fighting all 3 of those guys off. He suplexed Fale for a big pop from the crowd. And, he's taking out Finlay. He's hitting kip-ups, and the crowd's behind him. He's getting fired up, and then ends up hitting the into Oblivion knee to get the win over Evil. So that was a big win there. And I think a lot of people expected him to get the win back
Don't forget the 2 shillelagh shots that preceded it.
That's right. Yeah, the shillelagh, which we hadn't really seen him use in a while, but yeah, Gato had that ready for him to hit.
I was nervous about Gato being out there at ringside, and I was like waiting for the swerve, bro.
Yeah, Gato's been loyal to Finley here, and so Finley, that was a very, it's not going to make your notebooks, but for what it was and what it needed to be, it was an entertaining matchup, and I thought Finley showed a lot of babyface fire, which was fun to see. And then his other match, who do you have?
Look at this! Like this guy will not leave. Like, he's never bothered me this much. Like, he's pissed that I'm doing the show right after I've been traveling.
And then Finley also had Bolton, which was another really fun match, and Finley having to use the Granby rule to get the win.
We had a lot of questions about what that stylistically would look like with, a guy that is a genuine, physical specimen and powerhouse and Greco-Roman folk style wrestler. And then you got Finley, who's got that dad strength.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that they meshed really well. And, Finley had to basically use his wiles and his wits to develop a counter to the kamikaze to be able to pick up that win. So it was like he kind of scouted him, used his savviness, and I thought that was pretty good. I got to tell you, Jeremy, I do think David Finley is going to be in the playoffs. I wasn't so sure at the beginning, but it's that Gato, have the person go on he's done it so many times. One of the most famous examples a few years ago when Jay White jobbed to all the Chaos guys in the first 3 nights. And then still I don't know, I think he still finaled that year, or maybe not, but he still goes deep. I think David Finley is going to be one of those guys that's he had the narrative where he was eating the losses, but he's going to rebound, and he is having a sneakily good tournament. So
yeah. And then last but not least, Sonata, which we kind of already talked a lot about him at the opener, and with just some of the character work that he's been doing.
I don't have much more to say. The only thing is I'm just curious, where is this all going? And for the first time in a while, I'm not sitting here feeling like, all right, this is all cute, but it's not going anywhere. And I don't have any, oftentimes I'll be like, yeah, they're getting something over, but I don't have confidence in what it's going to lead to. I think that there is a plan in place here. I can't speculate and say exactly what it is. I'm assuming it probably does mean he's not long for War Dogs, which is so crazy for how many times. I guess that's his shit now. He just flip flops.
You mean not long for our torture? House of Torture?
My bad. Yeah, because first he joined War Dogs.
Now
he's trying House of Torture. Yeah. But I don't think he's long for this world with House of Torture. What he's doing right now. I mean, who knows? Unless he just kind of becomes their Kenta, the guy that's just in the group, but he's just doing his own
goofy
wacky
stuff. Yeah.
Wacky, goofy shit. But I don't think that that's what this is. I think it is leading to something narratively speaking for him that people will be interested and invested in.
Yeah. And my fear is, I don't trust Gato. So my fear is that it does lead to nothing. This is all just for the tournament, and then it's gonna be over, and it's just gonna be same old of him.
Well, that's gonna do it for for our review of these blocks. We've got several nights of action coming up. So 8-5, that's tomorrow. We've got night 12. Night 13 is 2 days later on Thursday. Night 14 is Friday. And then night 15 is Sunday. So we've got several nights of block action coming up.
And
we'll go through.
I was thinking it could be kind of fun if I can pull up the scenario tracker on the screen, and it might be fun for us to make our predictions that way.
I'm totally down with that. I'm not a multimedia mogul specialist, knowledge base. I don't know, whatever you want to fucking call it. But if you know how to, oh my God, what, bro, do you have the ability to do stuff like this?
Yeah.
I guess, why have you not been using your powers for good? What are you doing?
Well, this is the first time I played around. I thought about it. I was like, maybe I should pull up this on the screen. Are you seeing it?
Yeah, bro. You could be pulling up all sorts of important things on the show live while we're talking.
Yeah.
What are you? This is such a party foul on your part. What the fuck? All right, man.
All right, so here we go. We got the G1.
Shout out to Chris Sampson. And who's the
Jeremy Sexton? Yeah,
Jeremy Sexton.
Yeah,
Man,
so G1.sportwrestling.com/scenarios. So you can go in there and you can play around the live data and make kind of predict what's going to happen for the rest of the tournament. So we have night 12 coming up, like you mentioned, on August 5th. So Umino is already locked in with a win over Gabe Kidd. And so you can see here the B block here at the right side of the screen with the points there. So opening up on the show, we have Yoshihashi versus Konosuke Takeshita. Who do you think is going to get the win there?
I got to go Takeshita that one. I mean, you could get cute with it and have Yoshihashi pick up a victory, but he's already done his I'm at the top of the block routine.
Yeah, I think Takeshita gets the win there. Then we got Great Okan versus Ren Narita.
I'm gonna have to go Narita. You could, if you want to balance things out a bit, you could give Great Okan the win, but I think also Narita's got, a lot of advantages with the outside interference, Kanemaru, the push a bar, all that shit.
Yeah, I agree. I think Narita is going to win as well. And then from there, we got El Phantasmo versus Drilla Maloney. I think ELP needs to get a win here.
Probably. You're probably right. Although a win for Drilla could potentially catapult. He could be one of those guys that actually does aim to go after the TV title post G1.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're probably right. They probably want to, balance things out a little bit there.
And then the main event is Shingo Takagi versus Zack Sabre Jr.
So far, Zack has lost to Takeshita and to Narita, and that's it, right?
Yes. Yeah. Zack has 2 X's here. Yeah. Yeah. Narita and Umino is who he's lost to.
Oh, I was reading that. No. He lost to Takeshita.
No, he didn't. He beat Takeshita. He tapped him out or choked him out.
Oh, I'm reading it. You're right. I'm reading it wrong.
The X's are the losses.
Okay. He lost to Shota. He lost to Narita. I was reading it top to bottom, not left to right. It's hard for me to. Could Zack eat? Well, let's do this. Who else does Zack have left after this is over?
So on night 14, he has Drilla.
Can you scroll down on that box a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, so he has Yoshihashi and Drilla, and then the Shingo match left, or his 3 left.
I really doubt that those last 2 opponents stand a viable chance to beat him. Or if they do, it's probably not going to eliminate him. It's more so something that would just, be a black mark on his tournament and get him, out of the B1 spot and into the lower level of the playoffs. I would have to say that this is his last really dangerous match, but I'm inclined to go Zack.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I was like, I don't think Zack's going to lose a ton more. And we've kind of already done the whole Zack Shingo thing. They always have great.
Shingo is at 6 points.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, a win for Shingo would keep Shingo alive. I mean, Zack would still be alive too. So maybe that's where they go. But I don't know, something about me. I don't know. I feel like Zack.
My gut is saying Zack.
Yeah, same. Okay. So we'll go with Zack for the win there. So after that night, that would put Narita at 10 on top, ZSJ with 10, and Takeshita at 10, with Umino, Yoshihashi, and Maloney being at 8. And from there, Okan, Shingo, ELP, and Kid are all eliminated.
I believe it. I believe we're right.
All right, so let's move on to night 13. So this
is incredible. I haven't even played around with this. Like, what the fuck? This is crazy.
Yeah, so this is going to be Thursday, August 7th from Korakuen Hall, so A block. So
okay, so Tanahashi he only has 2 matches left then, huh?
Yeah. So wow. The opening match is going to be Taichi versus Callum Newman, and this is in Korakuen where they had the playoff match where Callum Newman won. I think Taichi's getting the win back.
Taichi's got to beat him.
Yeah. And so that loss mathematically eliminates Newman.
Makes sense.
Then next up, we got Evil versus Bolton Oleg. Now, this was one I went back and forth with and struggled with, but I kind of feel like Evil is winning this one.
If Evil were to lose here, but then pick up a win against Tanahashi, he'd be at 10 points. That might still qualify him to get into the playoffs.
Yeah.
You know what? Just for shits and giggles, because my gut's saying Evil, I'm just going to go Evil.
Okay. Yeah, that's what my gut's saying too.
I don't want to overthink this shit too much because, we're going to be wrong anyways. So, fuck it.
Then we got Tanahashi versus Sonata.
Well, it's sort of like, it depends which way you want to go with this. Do you think that Tanahashi, I guess I haven't done the math, but he could perhaps lose this, beat Evil, and maybe somehow still sneak in at 8 points, but he is sitting at 6. That's pretty precarious. Like if both guys are on the bubble here, so it's a make or break for either one of them.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like Tanahashi
has to win. Tanahashi.
Yeah. All right. And so that mathematically eliminates Sonata. And then that takes us to semi-main events. Going to be Yuya Uemura and Rei Oiwa.
Play it the other way real quick. What if Sonata wins? Is Tanahashi still alive?
No, Tanahashi's out.
Okay, gotcha. So, yeah, I think Tanahashi probably has to win that match.
Yeah. Then Oiwa and Uemura is a semi-main event.
Oh, that's gonna be so good.
Yeah. And really, that one's really tough.
I think that's Uemura.
Okay. So, boom, that puts Uemura at 10. And then the main event is Finlay and Tsuji, which I
think Finlay's going to beat him.
Yeah, and I think Tsuji won the last one, and you want to keep this Finlay run going. Yeah, Finlay has to win. So that puts Uemura and Evil with 10. And then Oiwa, Tanahashi, Taichi, Finlay, Tsuji, and Bolton all at 8 and are still alive. So then we go to night 14, back to the B block. So this is going to be Friday, August 8th. So this is the second to last B block night before the playoffs in Yomaoka Budokan.
Umino's going to beat Takeshita.
All right, so you got Umino over Takeshita, which is
I think so.
The main event that night. The opener is El Phantasmo versus Yoshihashi. I think ELP has to win that one.
He'll probably win that one, yeah. They'll probably eliminate Yoshihashi.
So that mathematically eliminates Yoshihashi. And then after that, we got Okan gets the forfeit win over Gabe Kidd. Then we got Zack Sabre versus Drilla.
I would have to go Zack.
Yeah, I think Zack wins also. So that puts Zack on top of the block with 12. And then
this feels like classic like Gato booking. You got your champion sitting at the top of the block, but maybe he gets knocked off on the final night, just depending on the math.
Yeah. Then we got
show me both situations with Shingo and Ren.
Okay, so yeah, that's the next match, Shingo and Ren Narita. So if Shingo wins, that moves him up to 8, and he's still alive. And then Narita stays at 10 and is still alive. Or Narita could win and be at 12, and that would eliminate Shingo.
Oh, man. And, Narita has that tiebreaker over Zack, so it's like he's in a really, really pretty position at that point.
Right, that would put him, he'd be
A1. Shingo's going to beat him.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think Shingo's going to win, stay alive. So that leaves Narita at 10, and then that puts Shingo at 8, and he's still alive.
Man, give us the book here. Come on.
And so is that all the matches this night?
Yep.
Yeah, we got them all. Okay, and so then that's going to take us to night 15, which this is the last A block night before the playoffs. So A block final night here. It's going to open up with David Finlay versus Yuya Uemura.
Oh man, this is where the rubber meets the road. And you know what's interesting is like the first time we looked at all this, we were like, man, there's not a lot of stuff that like necessarily stands out. But now that we're here and we have this scenario and there's so many people alive, it does add more stakes to everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
let's start with easy ones.
Okay, so I don't know if there are any easy ones on this.
Well, let's say Sonata beats Oiwa.
Okay, so Sonata beats Oiwa, which I think is going to happen also, because
they both end up at 8 points.
Yeah,
pretty parity based. Tsuji Newman. Show me what happens if Tsuji loses to Newman.
So Suji loses.
Suji has to beat Newman.
Right.
He needs that 10 points. So Suji's going to beat Newman.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we've got some hard ones here. I think that Bolton's beating Taichi.
Show me what happened. Well, he's already eliminated. So if he beats Taichi's eliminated, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. Show me what happens if Taichi beats him.
So if Taichi beats him, he's still eliminated, and Taichi gets a 10 and could potentially go through.
I think this is one we might want to play around with a little bit, but for now, let's go ahead and say Oleg Bolton beats him.
Okay. All right. So then the last two big ones here, Evil and Tanahashi, which that is that the main event? No, that's the semi-main. Actually, I don't think there's an order for this card yet.
What happens if Tanahashi beats him?
So if Tanahashi beats Evil, Tanahashi is 10 points, and he's probably going to be the A2.
That just doesn't seem likely. Okay, then let's say with Finley and Uemura, if Finley wins, what happens?
So if Finley wins, and it's Uemura, Tanahashi, Finley as your top three going through.
And Evil's out?
Yeah, with the tiebreakers, yep.
And that seems like that might be what happens.
You think so?
Well, there's no Suji. No, that doesn't seem likely.
Yeah, I feel like this is what I was showing earlier. I feel like Evil has to win, so it's Evil, Finley, Suji that goes
Okay.
through.
Show me what happens if Taichi wins.
So if Taichi wins in that situation, then it's Evil, Taichi, Finley. And
Okay.
Suji's out.
Keep that same situation, but have Uemura win. This is crazy.
So then you got Uemura, Evil, Taichi. Suji's still out.
Wow. Okay. All right. So this is going to be my final answer. I think David Finley wins. I think Oleg Bolton wins. And as much as I don't necessarily love this trio, I think it will be Evil, Finley, and Suji probably.
Yeah, I think this makes the most sense.
Unless we go back and cook the books a little bit more, but yeah, I guess that's what I don't want to spend too much time here, but yeah, I guess that's what we are projecting on August 4th at 9:54 p.m. Eastern. Evil, Finley, Suji to go through for the A block.
And the last B block night doesn't happen until after we record again, but do you just want to go?
What if Tanahashi and Evil go to a draw?
Oh, that's interesting. You still get Evil, Finley, Suji.
What if Evil lost his match? Who did he wrestle on the match before all this?
So if we go back to night 13, Bolton.
What if he loses to Oleg Bolton? Now what happens?
So if he loses to Bolton, and then
Bolton, Finley, Suji.
But do you stick with the draw here, or do you have?
Okay, leave it at the draw for now, but then put Tanahashi through.
Okay, so if Tanahashi wins, then you got Bolton, Finley, Suji.
And if it's a draw, it's still Bolton, Finley, Suji anyways.
Yeah.
I like Bolton, Finley, Suji a lot more than I like Evil. Bro, this is going to push me to... I'm going to be rooting so hard for Oleg Bolton to be Evil.
Me too, and I hope that's the case, but I don't know.
But Bolton, he would be finishing at the very top of the block with 12 points. That seems so unlikely.
Right, as never champion. But who knows?
God.
And then
it's probably gonna be. Okay, actually, no. I'm sorry. Go back.
And which
put
that
Tanahashi
in this case,
Tanahashi
it doesn't matter
Evil.
if Tanahashi or Evil win; they're both out.
Hear me out, though.
Mm-hmm.
Have Taichi beat Oleg Bolton now.
Then you got Finley, Suji, Uemura.
That could happen. Now do the Tanahashi Evil draw.
Taichi, Finley, Suji.
Woof. We are cooking, bro. Oh my God. So here are the key matches for me right now. Sitting where we're at tonight. We need Oleg Bolton to be Evil on night 13. That's a must.
Yeah.
And I think if Taichi beats Oleg Bolton, we're cooking with gas. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I do think that the Tanahashi Evil match can what happens if Evil wins in that match right now?
Then you got Taichi, Finlay, Tsuji.
Okay, so he's out. What if Tanahashi wins?
Then you still have Taichi, Finlay, Tsuji. Doesn't matter who wins that. It's kind of a pride.
Mathematically, if Oleg Boltin beats Evil, it pretty much eliminates Tanahashi and Evil.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen. God, I want Boltin to win so bad because I love these other lineups with Taichi, Finlay, Tsuji, Yumura. That is so much better than Evil Finlay and, perhaps Tsuji.
Yeah.
Or even with Oleg Boltin going through. So I want Oleg Boltin to win on night 13 and then lose to Taichi. As a fan, this is what I'm asking for. And then I'll be happy with whatever outcome comes out of that. So,
yeah. And then, like I'll say, night 16 doesn't happen until the 13th, which we'll record again before night 16. But do you want to look at it just to play around?
Just for now, because we're going to be able to play around with this again when we have more accurate info. But
yeah. So last B block night here.
So we've got Zach Alive, Narita, Umino, and Takeshita. Yeah. So it's basically down to those 4 guys.
Yeah.
And Takeshita and Narita are head to head on that night. Zach has Yoshihashi. Oh, Maloney is still alive too.
Yeah, Maloney's still alive. He's got Shingo.
Shingo's done.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
I think
Shingo lost to Zach.
I think he plays spoiler though to Maloney.
Okay.
So I think Shingo beats Maloney. Shingo
finishes with 10.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's Umino doing?
Umino's got Okan, which I think Umino wins.
Okay.
And
that puts him at the top of the block.
Yeah. And then you got Sabre and Yoshihashi, which I think Sabre wins.
That just seems like so overkill. 14 points, but maybe because he's champion, that might just make sense.
Yeah.
The main event of the evening is Takeshita and Narita.
Well, I think the order is going to depend on the points going into that night.
Oh, gotcha. Let's say Ren Narita wins.
Okay. Then you got Zach, Narita, Umino.
If Takeshita wins,
you got Zach, Umino, Takeshita.
What if Umino lost his match? Then what happens in this scenario?
Then you got Zach, Takeshita, Okan.
No way that's happening.
Yeah.
Oh, and Shingo would be alive.
Yeah, but he would lose a tiebreaker to Okan and Takeshita.
So Shingo's alive going into the evening, but he needs Umino to lose his match, basically.
Yeah.
Gotcha. But he loses the tiebreaker to Great Okan.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff. This one's not as clear cut. I think that first scenario where you have Shota winning is probably what happens. And yeah, I think it's going to be Zach, Umino, and Takeshita.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I feel more confident about that B block than the A block.
I do too. So then one last thing. So we'll do this. So the way it works is the A1 and the B1, they just go straight. Okay, I've got it here. We can see it. Oh, you already have it laid out. This is crazy.
Yeah.
So in this specific scenario, it would basically be Umino versus Tsuji. Wow. That's a big one. Mm-hmm. Umino versus Tsuji in the quarterfinals. Winner goes on to face Taichi to get into the G1 finals. That's kind of lofty.
Yeah.
I think, well, that's because we were playing around with that A block scenario and we just left it where we last left off.
Do you want to go back
and change it to the likely one where it's going to be like Evil, Finlay, and fucking.
Yeah. So we got Evil beating Boltin there.
Yeah.
And then night 15, Evil beating Tanahashi, Boltin beating Taichi. There we go. So yeah, Evil, Finlay,
Tsuji.
Evil,
Finlay, Tsuji. Okay. And then let's go to the playoffs there and see what that looks like. So we still end up with Umino, Tsuji. Winner goes on to face Evil in the quarterfinals. That seems likely.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got Finlay versus Takeshita. Winner goes on to face Zach. That also seems plausible. And I would say you probably have Takeshita go through. You probably have Tsuji or Umino go through those. I think that those two guys are going to beat the A1 and the B1. And it's probably going to be Takeshita in the finals against either Shota Umino or Yota Tsuji.
Yeah. Which I think is a story if you go Tsuji gets revenge on Evil from earlier in the tournament.
That's what I thought too.
And then you got Tsuji Takeshita as your G1 finals.
So this is our very early predictions where we're at, August 4th. Yeah, that was fun. I love this program. That's pretty, hats off to those guys. Pretty incredible.
Yeah.
And that killed two birds with one stone because we've already kind of discussed what is coming up. Before we move on, just one last thing. So with these nights, let's just, I know we already talked about who we think's winning and losing and all that, but night 12, any of these matches, stand out to you right now?
Shingo Saber. I mean, they always have great matches, great chemistry. It's the main event spot in Osaka. I think that's gonna rock. If
Shingo were to perhaps win that, that's going to change a lot of those predictions we have. So
yeah,
that's a big one. Night 13, the match Finley and Tsuji will probably be very, very good. I thought that I haven't always loved all their pairings, but that match from the Dome this year was really great.
Mm-hmm. I think Uemura and Oiwa.
Yeah, that's another one. I think that's probably the sleeper hit of the night, the one to look out for. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Night 14 coming up. I don't know how jazzed I am for Takeshita Umino, but it is there's an interesting story there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Zach and Drilla could be the sleeper this night.
Yeah, I was just looking at that one too. That one's probably going to be very, very good. And then finally, next Sunday, night 16, buddy. Oh my gosh, we're almost done. Taichi and Oleg Bolton is like the one that I'm salivating over.
Yeah, that or maybe Finley and Uemura.
But there's no denying that Tanahashi and Evil, like everyone's could be paying so much close attention to that one because we don't know exactly what it all means, and it will probably have pretty important, meaning by the time we get there. Couple last quick questions, and then we'll jump in the news and we'll get out of here. Death Triangle 720 says, do you think that the G1 has done a good job showcasing all the young guys so far?
I think so. In the past, they've shoved these guys in all one block, or they haven't done as well. But you look at the block standings here. I mean, A block, you got Tsuji, Uemura, Bolton, and Oiwa, who are all live and 8 points. And you look over at the B block, you got Narita, Umino, Takeshita, Drilla, Great Okan, all with 8 points. So I think that the young guys have been positioned here in this tournament and have been looked to be on the same levels at some of the older stars.
That's pretty much my feeling, is that they've elevated these guys to a level where they're parity based with a lot of the established stars. Maybe it's not necessarily a situation where one individual stands out as the future of the company and the ace and yada, yada, but they've elevated collectively the group as a whole. There's positives and negatives to that, but I think it's mostly positive. And the A block has been highly enjoyable for that reason. Rambo and Slam Pig says, which talents... Go ahead and ask that question, Jeremy. Bear with me.
Yeah, you're good. Which talents have benefited most from the first portion of the G1 in terms of increasing their connection to the audience or making the case to move up the card?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, the two that I would point out, and there's other answers, but the two that I think stand out are Taichi and Drill Maloney.
Yeah, I agree with you there. He also asks, the younger guys seem to collectively be positioned well in the beginning stage of this tournament. Do you think this is going to hold through the end, or just a classic Gato mirage?
I don't think it is. I think we're necessitated with the power vacuum that's been created with so many exiting stars and aging stars that we're at a point where it's time to call up many of these people to a higher level. within the company. And I think that's what we're seeing.
Yeah. But as far as, we did our whole scenario there. I mean, from the A block, we only had Tsuji as a young guy going in, and which, I mean, Finley is still pretty young, which people don't realize. He's been around for so long, but Finley's still early 30s. But then over in the B block, I think we had some more young guys going through there. You want to let me keep going with the questions, or you got it?
Yeah, go ahead.
So next question here from Ampersand Kangaroo in the Discord says the young lions have all been giving a little shine this tournament, and the undercard out of Yasuda, Nagai, Murashima, and Kato, who has been the most impressive?
Nagai.
Yeah, I think the whole Nagai, unaffiliated stuff has been a lot of fun, and he's been working really well together with Shingo and Tsuji on these undercards and cutting the promos. Yeah, he's been doing great. Legoto says, do wrestling fans focus too much on star ratings? Asked because several younger wrestlers are having what might be considered sub 4-star matches, which can cause people to overlook the crowd reactions they are getting. I'm thinking of Yuya and Oiwa in particular.
Well, I think everybody chooses to engage with professional wrestling in different ways and emphasizes what they enjoy out of professional wrestling. I personally, I think like I have a quasi autistic mind where it's like putting things into like categories and, rating them. Like, I don't just rate wrestling matches. I rate like all sorts of shit in my life. Like, I don't know why, but, that is a way for me to kind of classify and, seek enjoyment out of wrestling. But at the same time, is there potentially an argument where these other things are important and they don't get, as much credit from certain segments of the fan base? Like, absolutely. I do think that, and, a star rating system isn't a perfect, it's not a perfect thing anyways. Like, we've talked about how someone can go out there, they're told to do a certain job. They nail whatever it is that the booker is expecting from them, the story they want them to tell, the reactions that they want, and the time limit they have. That doesn't always equate to an all-time classic match. So, but it can still be enjoyable. It can still tell a narrative. It can still forward progression and, build connection with the audiences. So I think there's a happy medium, but oftentimes, and this is just true, I think that there is a misnomer amongst certain types of fans where they're like, people call this a 5-star match and it's just because of the moves. And it's like, that's really usually not the case. Like, in order for you to have something that is truly classically praised on that higher level, it's not just about the action or the work rate. It's also about the connection. It's about the audience reactions. It's about the emotion, the story, the stakes. Like, there's a lot that plays into it, so.
Yeah. I also think that people sometimes sleep on like 3.5 to a 3.75 matches. Part of it, I think we've also, over the last decade, been inundated with just great, incredible matches, and we have great matches on TV every week. We're having, great matches in Japan and UK, all over the place, and we've gotten so much great matches over the last decade where we're like, we want 4 stars or more. But I do feel like, depending on where it is on the card, and we've talked about there being bad 3.5-star matches if it goes like 40 minutes, but I think there is that good 3.5 match where it's like 5 or 10 minutes. There's that good 3.75 where it's like 10, 15 minutes, and it's still super solid and a good thing to have on the card.
Well, I mean, if we're going by the original, and of course, I do think that, I don't want to get into ratings discourse too much, but I think that the weight of and meaning of like Dave Meltzer's ratings in 2025 are very different than what they were even 10 years ago, honestly.
Yeah.
But without digging too much into that whole thing, the basic like translation of what those star ratings actually mean is like 3 is good. A good match, any good match is 3. 3.5 means very good. 4 means great. 4.5 means this is literally could be a match of the year contender. 5 means it's on the short list of greatest matches that has ever occurred in the history of the sport. So, I mean, that's what you're really looking at there. So it's like most matches that we see nowadays with the level of like performance in wrestling, most wrestling matches should be around the 3 and a 3.5 star rating. If they're not, then that's where you're like, 2 is like mediocre. It's like, why are you wasting my fucking time with this shit?
Yeah. Next question here from Coked Up Money Mark TK. So,
oh my God.
If you're only going to watch one block for the rest of the tournament, which one would you choose?
A block, especially just because there's more matches. They don't have the injury. I'm more intrigued by the stories going on over there. I don't want to get it too overblown. Like, I have seen this overcorrection within our Discord where people are like, there's like, and I don't want to call anyone out specifically. I don't remember who said this, but I remember someone was like, there's like 8 dudes who are having better tournaments than, say, Takeshi. And I was like, that's not true. But, of course, it's all subjective. So maybe to them that is. To me, I'm like, that's a wild assertion.
Yeah.
But I'm enjoying the A block more than the B block as a whole. I don't think it's like mopping it to the point where it's like, this is just embarrassing. But I do think that there are levels, and I think it's a level higher, and I think it's better right now, personally.
Yeah, I think the A block has the better stories, but for me, the flow of the shows, like when you have Evil and Sonata just doing all their shenanigans, can really ruin the flow of those shows. Whereas the B block, there's not a lot of gaga happening in the B block.
I would normally agree with you, but I think that they have found a sweet spot in this particular, and I don't think it's going to last, but in this particular tournament, I think they found a sweet spot for the most part where it's like Evil still gets his shit in, but he's able to have short, punchy, fun matches that don't overstay their welcome and they're not too infuriating. And then Sonata isn't overly reliant on that stuff because Evil has so much of it. He's still doing a lot of wrestling. So, and more of it is gimmickry than shenanigans. Usually he does have like a run in, a ref bump, and maybe it's going to be a low blow or a guitar shot, but it hasn't been overdone for my tastes personally.
Next question here from Let's Commission 7252. Other than Gabe being hurt and the attendance being wonky at some events, what other errors have there been in this tournament?
Wait, Careford 13 is Less Commission 7292?
Yeah.
I did not know that. That threw me off so much I didn't even hear the question. So other than Gabe being hurt and the attendance being wonky at some events, what other errors have there been in this tournament? Okay. I don't know. Over pushing Evil.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think that this has been one of the better G1 tournaments in many years. I mean, I could probably criticize maybe the lack of like some top talent that could have potentially been in here, some guys that could have been substituted, but that's more of like a, before the tournament started thing. But as far as once the tournament started, I haven't really seen anything too glaring that I've been upset about. Anything that was shocking, I thought was enjoyable. Yeah, I mean, I do think it is just like the attendance is down. Gabe got hurt. Those are terrible things, but the tournament's been highly enjoyable.
Yeah, it's been pretty good. I can't really think I've had too many errors they've made a long way. I think, probably the Evil thing, Evil possibly winning the A block. It's not great, but he's not going to win it.
Yeah, but he really might win the A block.
Yeah. And then MJ's asks, who's doing the best promo work this G1, getting their stories over, connecting with the crowd, etc.?
I got to tell you, I'm not really watching too much of that stuff. I'm hearing great things about Zach. That is one thing. I haven't noticed any of these guys really having stellar post-match main event comments, where they're getting huge reactions from the audience. I mean, they're doing a good job, but it's not like anyone standing out head and shoulders above everybody else. But then again, I'm not watching the backstage comments too much. Like it's a challenge. This G1 is challenging.
Yeah, I've watched 0 backstage comments, so yeah, I don't have a good gauge. But yeah, we've gotten obviously the closing match promos, which Chris Charlton hasn't been on a lot of these shows, so we're not getting like live translations right away of what the guys are actually saying. So
I do think that Walker's done a good job. I don't know who he has working with him to get the translations, but he is working not in exact real time, but he is able, once the promo's over, to kind of give a brief summary, which is it's pretty cool. We didn't mention this. I think Drilla, every time he's been on the mic, he's been really one of the better guys in the company.
Yeah, and his commentary has been very good, and he really, walks that line between being the douchebag war dog and actually like calling the action and having good insights.
I agree. We don't have any news here. That's going to do it for our review of G1. We gave you guys 2 hours, 33 minutes. The one big piece of news, Tanahashi Ace of the Universe issue 7 is out. Go subscribe to the Patreon so you can listen to that shit, because it is put a lot of work into it. Hopefully, as I get back in the swing of things this week, we can get issue 8, 2006 out, because that is the year Tanahashi wins the IWGP title for the first time. So pretty big episode. Last 2 questions, we'll get out of here. Cynic Clinic 1 asked, does New Japan take itself too seriously?
I don't think they're serious enough.
Yeah, I don't think they take it serious enough either. I'm like, well, we need to tighten up the ship. Stop with all these ref bumps. Oh, have you noticed that Marty Asami though is like
fighting back? I kind of like that a little bit. It's popping me a bit. Less Commission 7252 says, did you guys watch the Azumi and Bozilla match from July 24th for the women's strong title? It's one of the best David and Goliath matches that has been seen for years. And I got to tell you, until this moment, I forgot that Azumi was the strong. You know who I thought was the strong openweight champion, Jeremy? Mercedes?
Nope. I thought Mina Shirakawa was. Why? I just did. I don't know. She's the strong champion, I guess. No, I haven't. I didn't even know this match happened. I haven't seen it. And I'll take your word for it. Maybe we'll check it out. But best David and Goliath match for years. I don't know, bro.
Yeah, I guess we have to watch. It's a strong women's title match, so for the awards and stuff. But it's funny that we're talking. Rich Craich did recommend this match to Joe Lanza, which we know Joe normally hates Josie, and so Rich only picks select matches. So he did recommend this match to Lanza this past week on Flagship, and Rich had some really great reviews about it. So it sounds like a great match, and Bozella made the jump from Marigold to Stardom. And it sounds like her and Azumi had a really great match here.
I don't know if it was Less Commission or someone else. Maybe there's someone else in our Discord, like New Japan fan, and they're like, what are some New Japan matches you guys would recommend to me? And I put Inoki Gotch 1. It didn't get a laugh from anybody else, but I do shit like that just to like amuse myself. It's so funny. But yeah, that's going to do it, man.
Yeah, that's going to wrap the show up. Next week we'll be back to review nights 8 through 11 and preview the playoffs for the G1 Climax coming up. So remember, if you want to watch our show live or listen without ads, sign up at patreon.com/KI Strong Style. You can also make a donation by visiting socialsuplex.com/donate and click on the donate button under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. Make sure you can connect with us on social media on X and Blue Sky. Follow us at KI Strong Style, at Social Suplex, at Jeremy L. Donovan, and at YB_Josh and Liger. On Facebook, follow us at facebook.com/Social Suplex and the Wrestling Square Circle Facebook group. On Reddit, I'm the Pro Black Guy. Josh Keeping a Strong Style. On YouTube, we are at Social Suplex. You can join our Social Suplex Discord server. To interact with us and other wrestling fans, you can email me, Jeremy, at socialsuplex.com, and check out all the other shows that we have here on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. One Nation Radio is by Rich Latta and James Boyd. All Things Elite with Floyd and Austin. Imps. WWE Adventure with The Implications, Matthew Mayer. Wrestling Art with Chris Sling's Tunnel Talk with Allie, Ann, and Leah. And the Trish and Sarah Wrestling Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a rating and review, and we will catch you next week on Keeping It Strong Style, the ace of podcasts.
Ichiban.
Thank you for listening to Keepin' It Strong Style. We'll see you next time.
Life is a workout, and Smoothie King is here to help you power through. Whether you're grinding out bicep curls or muscling the couch across the living room, crushing morning miles, or sprinting through back-to-back meetings, Smoothie King has fuel to help you maximize your workouts, own your recovery, and elevate your game. Give your body the energy, protein, and power it needs with a lineup of delicious smoothies made to help you conquer your goals. Only at Smoothie King.